Konoha, becoming a great capitalist starting from Tobirama's resurrection. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction, so please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story and all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter, and if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 1 Tobirama, you are finally going to die. In the 20th year of Konoha, a group of men panted and rested in a dense jungle, apparently having recently emerged from a fierce battle. Senju Tobirama looked at his apprentices, each in a state of disarray, their clothes tattered and torn, several even bruised. I've been so clever all my life, only to be foolish for a moment. To be ambushed at the very negotiation table ending the ninja world war, and damn, Rikage, how do you manage your men? You had no idea they were planning a coup? Even if your ninjas were difficult to manage, they were still harder to manage than the Uchiha clan, with their inherited psychopaths. And I've tamed them all. What a bunch of savages, completely devoid of intelligence. But scolding the Rikage was pointless now, after all, he had been killed by those two traitors, Kinkaku and Jinkaku. Senju Tobirama checked his chakra, it was still more than half. With his flying thunder god jutsu, he could easily return to the village alone, but he still had a bunch of other people to worry about. Considering the current situation, it was time to make a decision. Senju Tobirama closed his eyes and pondered for a long moment, wondering whether to save himself or his apprentice. In this situation, if we want to escape, one of us must divert Kinkaku and Jinkaku's elite troops. But the outcome for this person, Senju Tobirama's face was serious, and he kept his words to himself, for the outcome was obvious, death. Silence followed his words, no one spoke, after all, no one wanted to die. A few seconds later, Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke with determination, I'll go. Senju Tobirama looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, his stern expression a hint of a smile at the corner of his mouth. Danzo was now furious. His momentary hesitation had revealed the gap between him and Sarutobi Hiruzen. I'm the Hokage, so of course I'll be the bait. You're all the young inheritors of the will of fire who will protect the village in the future. Senju Tobirama's words caused a huge uproar, and everyone present tried to dissuade him. If they wanted to exchange Senju Tobirama's life for theirs, their lives would be too precious. Especially Danzo, his hands and feet were no longer trembling, and he stood up to be the bait and die in place of Tobirama. But there was not much time to perform for Danzo now. Tobirama suppressed Danzo with a few words of criticism, and then said to Sarutobi Hiruzen, Monkey, protect those who admire the village and trust you, and then train them to become people who can be entrusted to the next generation. From tomorrow on, you will be Hokage, Monkey. Konoha is handed over to you. At this moment, Konoha. Inside the Uchiha clan's room, a young man clasped his hands together, muttering, Buddha, Guanan Bodhisattva, Jade Emperor, Jesus, it's time to show your power. Please bless me to draw gold this time. Today is a good day. The Nidaime Tobirama is negotiating with the Rikage. If nothing unexpected happens, he'll be dead. I'm drawing on such a festive day, and you can't draw a white again. Uchiha Non stared at the large wheel in front of him, anticipating a surprise from the monthly draw. As a time traveler, this wheel is Nan's trump card for survival in the dangerous world of Naruto. Besides the initial newbie gift pack, which includes 3 Mangekyou Sharingan trial coupons, each valid for 1 day, the rest is the wheel draw. There's a fixed monthly draw. And completing tasks assigned by the wheel increases the number of draws. The wheel's prize pool offers a wide variety of prizes, divided into 5 categories, white, green, red, orange, and gold, based on over a decade of exploration. White represents household items like clothes, shoes, benches, and milk. Green represents ninja gadgets like kunai, shurikens, and detonating tags. Red represents ninjutsu, encompassing a wide range of ninjutsu, from forbidden techniques to common shadow clones. Orange represents bloodline limits, such as the Byakugan, wood release, ice release, magnetic release, and melt release. The gold prize pool contains the finest items from the Naruto world, including the Mangekyou Sharingan, the Eternal Mangekyou Sharingan, the Sage Body, the Perfect Sage Mode, and the Chakra Fruit. Over the course of 16 years, Uchiha Kusu consistently draws white, with green being his only draw. Drawing red brings him as much joy as New Year's Eve, and orange is only his one chance. As for gold, Uchiha Kusu can't even dream of it. Ding dong, welcome to the lucky draw. Uchiha Non clicked the lucky draw button, a crisp sound echoing. The massive turntable lit up, and the needle twisted. There were thousands of squares, mostly white, with green interspersed among the white. Red dotted the space between the two. Orange was scarce, and gold only occupied 1 or 2 squares, unnoticeable unless you looked closely. Gold. Gold, give me gold. Uchiha Nan's eyes shone red, his 3 Magatama Sharingan fixed on the needle, his hands clenched into fists, his fingers turning slightly white with pressure. Damn, green, 3 detonating talismans, Uchiha Non sighed. As expected, it was either white or green. Detonating talismans were fine. One was expensive, and selling them for cash wouldn't be bad, Uchiha Non consoled himself. Relying on luck wasn't going to pay out. Uchiha Non didn't think he was destined for luck, he had to rely on himself. Uchiha Non opened the task interface released by the turntable, which displayed a long-term task. The task was released by the turntable from the day Uchiha Non officially became a ninja. Task: become the Hokage of Konoha. Reward: a chance to draw a gold prize on the turntable. Now is the best time to complete this long-term task. Born during the time when Senju Tobirama was the Hokage, it was impossible to become the Hokage through formal means. Become an apprentice to Senju Tobirama, then be recognized by Senju Tobirama, and finally be appointed as the Hokage by Senju Tobirama? He is an Uchiha. The clan emblem on his clothes and the Magatama in his eyes, just looking at it would remind Senju Tobirama of that old guy Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara was crazy. Every member of the Uchiha clan who opened the Sharingan had psychological problems, including Uchiha Non himself, who had been practicing murderous ninjutsu since childhood. Graduating as a ninja at the age of 6 and then going on missions, wielding a kunai and slashing people with such ease, how could this not have some psychological problems? Those who awaken a main Decay of Sharingan are even more out of their element, becoming lunatics. If an Uchiha were to become Hokage, who knows if a true lunatic would one day emerge from the Uchiha clan, suddenly coming up with a brilliant idea and leading Konoha down a path of no return? If someone told Tobirama Senju that the Uchiha clan was planning a groundbreaking plan to save the world and maintain peace in the ninja world by creating a groundbreaking jutsu that would hang all ninjas from trees and make them dream, thus achieving unprecedented peace in the ninja world, Tobirama Senju would definitely consider this person's words and quickly investigate the Uchiha clan. After all, the Uchiha clan could really do this, given their lunacy. Chapter 2: Uzumaki Miro's confusion. The normal path to becoming Hokage was blocked by Senju Tobirama, leaving Uchiha Kusunoki with only one option: wait. Wait until Senju Tobirama was dead. Even though Uchiha Kusunoki had a trump card that could temporarily challenge Senju Tobirama, the main Decay of Sharingan trial card. But what good would the main Decay of Sharingan do? It wasn't like Senju Tobirama had previously killed Uchiha Izuna, the owner of the main Decay of Sharingan. He couldn't really count on inciting the Uchiha clan to join him in a coup. It would be more reliable to seek refuge with Uchiha Madara, who was hiding in a cave. At least Uchiha Madara didn't discriminate against everyone equally, and his discrimination wasn't limited to Hashirama. Uchiha Kusunoki had no intention of wasting the main Decay of Sharingan trial card, which he treasured so much and hadn't used in times of danger, on Senju Tobirama. No one knew how many forbidden techniques Senju Tobirama had studied during his lifetime to combat the Uchiha clan. If anyone wanted to know, they would have to become Hokage and have the opportunity to read the Book of Sealed Techniques. But now, Uchiha Non had finally made it through. By tonight, Senju Tobirama's body would likely be completely cold. Thinking of this, Uchiha Nan's gloom over his unsuccessful card draws vanished, and he couldn't help but feel happy. A cheeky grin spread across his face, transforming into the Uchiha clan's ancestral laughter. Ho ha ho ho he, cough cough cough, I choked on my saliva. Uchiha Non coughed twice, and suddenly heard 2 cat meows. A black cat flipped in through the window. The black cat jumped onto Uchiha Nan's bed as usual, swept its tail twice, and sat down. None. I got the news. There really was an ambush in the negotiation between Konoha and the Raikage this time. The result is just as you guessed. The second Hokage led the pursuers away alone. It's very dangerous. The black cat licked the hair on the palm of his hand, changed his sleeping position, and lay on his belly on the soft mattress with all 4 legs lying like that. Uchiha Non sat beside it and skillfully stroked its fur. I got this information from Chachi. It took a lot of effort to pry it out of its mouth. Well done, little Manji. Manji is Uchiha Kusunoki's summoning beast, and Chachi is Uchiha Kagame's. The Uchiha and Ninja Cats have been friends for generations, and the Ninja Cats under Grandma Cat often sign contracts with the Uchiha clan. Ninja Cats are small and agile, making them excellent at gathering information and having specialized intelligence channels within the ninja world. After Uchiha Kusunoki displayed his talent at the Ninja Academy, Grandma Cat arranged for Manji to sign a contract with him after being introduced by the clan. At that time, Manji was still a tiny creature. Over the years, Manji had been with him through many life and death situations when Uchiha Kusunoki went out of the village on missions, and Uchiha Kusunoki felt confident in sending Manji on these missions. "How are you going to thank me?" Manji purred, his face a look of enjoyment, pleased with the cat-stroking skills of Master Cat Petting Master Uchiha Kusunoki. 3 bottles of catnip, no, double that. Manji's tail twitched in disapproval. "No problem." Uchiha Non, in a cheerful mood, pulled a can of catnip from the drawer and tossed it to Manji. "I'll buy you the remaining 5 bottles tomorrow." Manji eagerly opened the can of catnip, grabbed a handful, and took a deep sip. "That's the taste, pure stuff, AA+. Manji's expression was filled with immense enjoyment. He emptied the entire bottle of catnip, spread it on the bed, and rubbed it with his legs. "Manji, remember that the ninja cat you're close to should stay in Konoha for the next few days and keep me informed." "Manji? Manji?" Manji's eyes were hollow, his tongue rolled out, and his paws mechanically stuffed the catnip into his mouth, clearly high on it. Forget it, forget about Manji. Sarutobi, Hiruzen and the others weren't back yet, and the news of Tobirama's death hadn't arrived yet. Let the bullets fly for a while. Go to sleep. A few days later, Sarutobi, Hiruzen and his men hurried back to Konoha, bearing not the good news of a ceasefire, but rather devastating news that shook the entire Konoha community. Negotiations between Konoha and the Raikage had broken down. The Raikage had been killed by a surprise attack from his subordinates Kinkaku and Jinkaku, and Senju Tobirama had perished in battle. "Tobirama, he's dead. How is that possible? How could Tobirama die?" Mito Uzumaki, having just received the news, was bewildered and lost. She hadn't yet recovered from the devastating news. She simply couldn't imagine her brother-in-law, Tobirama, dying. In Mito's memory, Tobirama was always calm and resourceful, managing Konoha with impeccable order after Hoshirama's death. His strength was unparalleled in the ninja world, having survived the chaotic Warring States period. His sacrifice in a truce negotiation was a reality that left Miro in disbelief. Mito Uzumaki looked at Hiruzen Sarutobi, expecting him to say something. However, reality was reality, and Hiruzen could only remain silent, afraid to speak, fearing to upset Mito. Tears welled up in Miro's eyes, but she quickly wiped them away, gazing fiercely at him. "Tell me everything from beginning to end, don't leave out a single word." Mito's tone was icy, her chakra surging with her words due to her emotional instability. The Uzumaki clan possessed a strong chakra, and coupled with Miro's status as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, the chakra fluctuations emanating from them suffocated Hiruzen and the others. Konoha had just emerged from a major war, the First Shinobi World War, which had lasted for 8 years. Despite Konoha's strength, the 8 years of war had worn down even a powerful clan. With the death of the village's Kage at such a critical juncture, Konoha could very well crumble if the situation wasn't handled properly. "Yes, Mito-sama," Sarutobi Hiruzen repeatedly acknowledged. He recounted the entire process, from the negotiation between the Second Hokage, Senju Tobirama, and the Second Raikage, to the ambush by Kinkaku and Jinkaku, and the pursuit by the elite troops led by Kinkaku and Jinkaku. Finally, Senju Tobirama sacrificed his life as bait to shield his men from the encirclement. Sarutobi Hiruzen, of course, didn't forget to mention Tobirama's appointment of him as the third Hokage before his death. Uzumaki Mito interrupted him several times, asking for details and asking him to repeat himself. Everyone else present also repeated their stories. Combined with the Nine-Tails' unique ability to sense emotions, Uzumaki Mito finally concluded that Sarutobi and his men were telling the truth. Uzumaki Mito looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen with a complex expression, doubting Tobirama's judgment for the first time. Were these brats really worth Tobirama's sacrifice? And was the Sarutobi Hiruzen worthy of the position of Hokage? Chapter 3 Blockade. Mito Uzumaki stared at Hiruzen Sarutobi for a long moment. Feeling his gaze, Hiruzen felt a chill run down his spine. Mito glanced at Hiruzen and his group, then gave them an order: "You must be exhausted from all this running, and you're injured. The Senju clan has specialized medical ninjas. I'll have them tend to your injuries later. Go down and rest, stay in Senju clan territory for the next few days. Don't go anywhere else, don't tell anyone about Tobirama's death now. Don't tell anyone who asks. Do you understand?" Sarutobi, Hiruzen and the others looked at each other, unsure of what Mito Uzumaki was up to. Concealing the Hokage's death and then placing them under house arrest? Sarutobi felt a pang of pain. His position as the Hokage's successor was now a hot potato. If he continued to obey Mito Uzumaki's orders and remain in Senju clan territory, what if he were to be physically vanished? Mito Uzumaki's identity was more than just the widow of the first Hokage. She was a powerful figure in the Uzumaki clan during the Warring States period, a red rose that emerged from the sea of blood and corpses. If Sarutobi Hiruzen treated Mito Uzumaki like a mere ornament, his life would be in vain. Even his own life depended on Mito Uzumaki's grasp. Perhaps a dozen elite Senju ninjas were hiding just outside the door, and Mito Uzumaki could capture them all with a single command. "Mito-sama, Danzo hesitated, trying to speak. After all, he was no fool. If they stayed here, Mito Uzumaki would do something unkind to them, leaving them no chance of escape. "Danzo, Mito-sama has made all the arrangements. We can rest assured and stay here." Sarutobi Hiruzen gave Danzo Shimura a look and readily agreed to Mito Uzumaki's request. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Uzumaki Mito had little contact, only seeing her when she was with her master, Senju Tobirama. Sarutobi Hiruzen could see Senju Tobirama's attitude towards Mito: respect. He might not trust Mito, but he would trust his master. Since his master had chosen him to become Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen was willing to risk his life, confident that Mito, whom his master deeply respected, would not go against his master's wishes and harm him. This monkey was quite sensible. "Then leave. Someone will take you to a rest area after you leave," Uzumaki Mito said calmly. After Sarutobi Hiruzen and his men had left, Senju Momoki, who had been guarding the door, entered. Now, he had a grim suspicion. The shadow guards had all returned, listless and ragged, looking defeated. Where was their clan leader, Senju Tobirama? He couldn't be dead, could he? Master clan leader, Senju Momoki was feeling uneasy and asked Uzumaki Mito tentatively. "Go and set the barrier seal of Konoha to wartime status. Take my warrant and have the Anbu put the entire village under martial law. Send out all the remaining ninjas in the clan now to keep an eye on the ninjas in Konoha. Report any unusual behavior to me immediately, especially the Uchiha. Also send someone to notify Momoka, and have him rush back from the front lines immediately." Uzumaki Mito's series of orders made Senju Momoka's brain freeze. Did someone attack Konoha's doorstep, or was the Uchiha planning a rebellion? Even the young clan leader of the Senju clan, Senju Momoka, was transferred back from the front lines. Hoshirama's son, whose name wasn't even given in the original novel, was made up by the author. Naoki wasn't even born during this time period. So he should still be alive. "Mito-sama? What the hell happened? It's not the clan leader, hurry up." Mito's tone was chilling, and Senju Momoki was startled. He'd been talking too much today. "Yes, Mito-sama." Senju Momoki hurried out the door to carry out Mito's orders. Leaving Mito alone in the room, he slunk back into his chair, his spirit instantly waning, a complete loss of his earlier composure. Hoha, Mito, Hoshirama's bastard brother is dead too. It seems the Konoha Hoshirama founded is not far from destruction, a gloating voice echoed from Miro's heart. Within the sealed space within Miro's body sat a massive fox, its 9 tails chained tightly together, unable to move. The 9 tails laughed wantonly, causing the chains to make a ringing sound, and the harsh sound echoed through Uzumaki Miro's brain. "This is retribution, Mito. You imprisoned me for so many years, so what? Is there peace in the ninja world?" The 9 tails could sense everything outside, including Uzumaki Mito's emotions at the moment. Sadness, despair, pain, all kinds of negative emotions. The 9 tails felt it clearly, but the 9 tails would not sympathize, but would only laugh at it wantonly. "Humph, demon fox, Konoha will not perish and disappear, and Hoshirama's efforts will not be in vain. Now I will protect Konoha." Uzumaki Miro's mind moved, and several huge chains appeared out of thin air, trapping the 9 tails' mouth and tying its body into a pretzel. Mito, After dispatching the 9 tails, Mito felt much better, regaining her earlier composure and muttering, "As long as I'm here, Konoha can't stand up. Konoha guard. Uchiha Kusunoki sat in the captain's room. The guard had 3 captains, each with their own room. The remaining 2 captains had been rotated to the front lines, leaving Kusunoki alone at the Uchiha headquarters, responsible for overseeing the entire Uchiha clan. After 16 years of hard work, Kusunoki had risen to a high position within the Uchiha clan. Aside from the clan leader, Uchiha Tomita, he was now the second in command in Konoha. Kusunoki possessed the 3 Magatama Sharingan and mastered lightning release. He developed his own lightning release, Chidori, a spinning disc, and mastered various fire release techniques within the clan. He also possessed a formidable swordsmanship, a spinning disc. He ended up in a draw in a swordsmanship duel with Hatake Tsukumo, the prodigy of the Konoha Hatake clan. Thanks to his own efforts, cultivated through over a decade of lottery draws, Uchiha Nan had earned immense prestige within the Uchiha clan. Manji pushed open Uchiha Nan's door, and with a light leap, he leaped into Nan's arms. Nan, Sarutobi, Hiruzen and the others have returned. They recently headed towards the Senju clan's territory, and haven't left since, and now the entire Senju clan has been dispatched. Senju ninja are scattering towards Konoha from all directions. Several of them should be near the Uchiha clan's territory now, and Bu ninja have also been dispatched, scattered throughout Konoha. Some of them are so powerful, the ninja cats dare not get too close, fearing alerting them. Some have retreated, while others can only observe from afar. It won't be long before even the security department is neared by Anbu or Senju ninja. Uchiha Nan's hand expertly stroked Manji, unfazed by Uzumaki Mito's actions. Someone come, let's have a meeting. Since Uzumaki Miro has started to move, Uchiha Nan naturally can't just sit here and do nothing. Chapter 4, Surviving is just a shame. Captain, everyone's here. Uchiha Tetsuka was followed by a dozen or so Uchiha clan members. These were all the ninja on duty for the Uchiha Guard today. Normally, at this time, most of them would patrol Konoha's commercial streets, food courts, and other areas. Even though the Ninja World War had been raging for 8 years, the lives of ordinary people in Konoha hadn't been significantly affected. Fighting for life and death was the business of the ninja masters, not the common people. The 5 major ninja villages had a tacit understanding of this. However, the smaller ninja villages were less disciplined. When their livelihoods became strained, they resorted to plundering the property of the common people. Some ninja from the smaller villages even defected to avoid combat missions, choosing to become wandering ninja, relying on the fact that the smaller villages lacked the resources to pursue them. This led to a steady flow of civilians from the smaller villages fleeing towards the 5 major ninja villages, with Konoha being the natural choice for resettlement. While the number of Konoha ninja decreased, the civilian population actually increased after the First Ninja World War. This led to a surge in Konoha's commerce, resulting in a heavy workload for the Uchiha Security Department. With more people, all sorts of unusual circumstances arose, including petty theft, which the Security Department had to address. Furthermore, those arriving in Konoha included not only civilians but also spies from the various major ninja villages. The Uchiha Security Department even collaborated with the Hokage's Anbu to secretly handle these spies. Captain, if there's anything, call all the duty officers. We've been incredibly busy these past few days. Yes, Captain, what's the status of our security department expansion? The Hokage hasn't given us an explanation yet. We simply don't have enough personnel. We need to recruit ordinary people from the clan. After all, they're just managing civilians, not necessarily ninja. Uchiha Inahori complained from behind Uchiha Tetsuka. He and Tetsuka were twins, and they were in the same squad on the battlefield with Uchiha Kusunoki. They weren't official Konoha ninja, not officially registered with the village. They were ninjas trained within the family, part of the Uchiha clan's private army. During the Great Ninja War, which lasted a full 8 years, even the clan's private army was drafted into battle. The 2 brothers had a close relationship with Uchiha Kusunoki, having fought together before, and he had even saved Tetsuka's younger brother, Inahori. Upon entering, Inahori began complaining about all the recent troubles. Captain, I really don't want to retire from the front lines. Dealing with these trivial matters every day is better spent fighting on the battlefield. Captain, Uchiha Kusunoki remained silent, staring at Inahori. The look in his eyes frightened him. The last time the captain had been so serious was when they were trapped in a cave by a dozen Junin from the Hidden Cloud village. If the captain hadn't suddenly unleashed a powerful force and unleashed a devastating blow, they would have been dead. Captain, did I say anything wrong? Uchiha Inahori chuckled, giving his brother Totsuka a look. Inahori, shut up. The captain hasn't said anything, and you're the only one chattering away. Chiho tapped Inahori's head, then turned towards Uchiha Non, waiting for him to speak. Seeing Inahori's silence, the other Uchiha clan members tactfully shut up as well. Although Uchiha Non had always been friendly and gentle within the clan, after all, he had undergone 9 years of compulsory education under the red flag when he traveled here, quietly accumulating good fortune and drawing the spin wheel every day to grow stronger. No one dared to cross Uchiha Non. On the battlefield, Uchiha Non was a fierce warrior, his body bathed in lightning, and within the dazzling lightning, hidden blades could cut down enemies in an instant. Uchiha Nan's position as captain of the security department wasn't earned through nepotism, but rather through his military achievements on the battlefield. It was clear to every Uchiha present that Captain Uchiha Non had a different attitude today. Inahori, you were complaining just now that the Hokage-sama is slow to expand the security department. Uchiha Non released Manji, stood up and stretched himself, then looked at Uchiha Inahori. Is there anything wrong with what I said? Uchiha Inahori rubbed his head. It still hurt from his brother Tetsuho's blow. HMPH, Uchiha Non sneered. The expansion of the Uchiha security department will probably be delayed for a while, and the Hokage-sama won't have a chance to agree. Just now I received news that the Hokage-sama was killed in the negotiations with Arakage. Uchiha Nan's words hit the Uchiha present like a hammer, leaving everyone's head reeling. Captain, you're serious? The Hokage-sama is dead, and died in the negotiations. Uchiha Tetsuho's tone was filled with disbelief, finding the death of Senju Tobirama absurd. This lord is notoriously cunning. Elders from the clan who lived through the Warring States period often cursed Tobirama with words like cunning, black-hearted, and a scheming, wicked bastard. Some pessimistic elders even claimed that Tobirama, that cunning fellow, might outlive me. The Uchiha clan won't stand a chance for decades. No one in the clan could outsmart that wicked bastard Tobirama. Heaven is against us Uchiha. Having been mentored by clan elders since childhood, Tetsuko has heard these words countless times. Some of the elders who survived the Warring States period harbor deep-seated hatred for Tobirama, forced by circumstances to vent their hatred verbally. But even with these curses, they remain united in their belief that Senju Tobirama is still very much alive. Is this a joke? Uchiha Non asked Uchiha Tetsuka seriously. According to the intelligence I got, Kinkaku and Jinkaku, subordinates of the Second Hokage, staged a coup and attacked the Second Hokage and Lord Tobirama at the negotiation table. The Second Hokage died, Lord Tobirama was seriously injured, and he and his shadow guard were hunted down by the elite troops of Kinkaku and Jinkaku. In the end, in order to cover the shadow guard's escape, he led the pursuing troops away alone until he died in battle. Uchiha Non briefly explained what happened. Uchiha Tetsuka felt his head swelling. If the person in front of him was not Uchiha Non, Uchiha Tetsuka would have wanted to slap him. What nonsense are you making up here? What do you mean by the Hokage covering the shadow guard? Which shadow guard would let the cage of a village cover their escape? It's not shameful enough to survive like this. Can you give some comments, Kak? Chapter 5 Uchiha, this is a forged imperial edict. Captain, that's not funny. The shadow guard's duty is to protect the cage with their lives. Even if all the shadow guards are dead, the cage cannot die. How could the cage sacrifice himself to protect the shadow guards? Inahori, unlike his brother, Tetsuka, was steady and outspoken. The death of Hokage Senju Tobirama was already fantastical, and this death was horrifying. Inahori, you have to understand that stories require logic, while reality is often absurd. Everyone present looked at Uchiha Kusunoki's serious expression and instinctively thought he was talking nonsense, just messing with them out of boredom. But in the end, they chose to believe him. Uchiha Kusunoki's position in the security department didn't allow him to make up stories about the Hokage's death. Uchiha Tetsuka suddenly remembered something, and an inexplicable fire began to burn in his heart. Captain, since the second Hokage has fallen, has the third Hokage been chosen? Uchiha Tetsuka's simple words were like a spark striking dry wood, igniting a flame in every Uchiha present. The second Hokage was dead, so who would be the third Hokage? It couldn't possibly be the Senju again, could it? The Uchiha were the founders of Konoha. Even if their ancestor, Uchiha Madara, had defected, their legacy could not be erased. The Senju had produced 2 Hokage, so it was only right that the Uchiha would take their turn. The Uchiha present began to breathe heavily. This captain had been the first to learn of the Hokage's death, and he had gathered them so hastily. Could he have some idea of what the position of Hokage might be? After all, above Uchiha Kusunoki was the clan leader, Uchiha Tomita. Uchiha Kusunoki's strength was unquestionable, having proven himself on the battlefield. Even clan leader Uchiha Tomita wouldn't necessarily be able to defeat him. It wasn't uncommon for someone to surpass Tomita and become Hokage. Every young man in Konoha dreamed of becoming Hokage. Furthermore, the Uchiha clan was a simple, honest place, emphasizing the importance of prioritizing the capable over the incompetent. Whoever had the bigger fist had the final say. Regardless, the third Hokage's position would likely be tainted by the Uchiha clan. It's settled. Uchiha Kusunoki's simple words quenched the flames of the fervor within the clan like a bucket of cold water. The Senju clan again? Currently, there were only 2 members of the Senju clan capable of commanding the support of the people. One was Uzumaki Mido, the widow of the first Hokage. Although she lived in the village and kept a low profile, no one dared to underestimate her. The other was Senju Momoma, the son of the first Hokage. A legitimate family background and a formidable figure in Konoha. Oh no. The captain wasn't planning a coup, was he? A terrifying thought crossed Uchiha Totsuka's mind. If the captain planned a coup, he had to stop him. He couldn't let the captain die in vain. Who, Mido-sama, or Momoma-sama? This is so unfair. The Senju clan has already produced 2 Hokages. It's time for our Uchiha clan to take the throne. As Uchiha Totsuka pondered Uchiha Nan's thoughts, Uchiha Inahori couldn't help but complain. Neither of them. It's Sarutobi Hiruzen, huh? The captain was joking again. The thought crossed everyone's mind simultaneously. Who, Captain? I now suspect you've been teasing us this whole time. If nothing else, come with me to see a doctor in the clan. You're the pillar of our Uchiha clan. You can't have a problem with your brain. Uchiha Inahori's words came out without a second thought, making Uchiha Nan a little angry. I'm discussing matters with you so seriously, but Uchiha Inahori thought he was crazy. Maybe he thought I'd smiled too much at you and itched again. Uchiha Nan looked around and saw that the Uchiha present agreed with him. 1 or 2 even looked at him with sympathy. Then Nan turned, drew his battle ninja sword, and looked at Uchiha Inahori with a smile. Inahori, I see you're getting nervous again. You think I'm crazy for discussing the future of the Uchiha clan with you so seriously? After the meeting, let's find a place to practice alone. I'll definitely beat you up and send you to see the family's medical ninja. Uchiha Inahori took a few steps back in fear, looking at the fierce look in Uchiha Nan's eyes. He then nudged his brother, Uchiha Totsuka, with his arm, signaling him to save him again. If the captain really gave him a good beating, he'd be bedridden for 10 days or half a month. Uchiha Totsuka looked helplessly at his foolish brother, wondering why he spoke without thinking. Captain, don't bother with him. He's just like that, Captain. What you just said about the second Hokage designating Sarutobi Hiruzen as the successor to Hokage is true. While helping out, Uchiha Totsuka once again confirmed with Uchiha Nan whether Sarutobi Hiruzen was about to become the third Hokage. Of course it's true. I've been very serious in my meetings with you all today, Uchiha Nan sighed inwardly. Senju Tobirama's miraculous actions before his death were so incredible that even telling the truth seemed like a joke. Sarutobi Hiruzen, what a piece of shit. Inayana, can beat 3 of them by myself, so he's worthy of being Hokage. If you were Hokage, Inayana, would be the first to reject. Uchiha Inayana was the first to speak out. If Tobirama-sama had appointed Miro-sama or Momo-sama as Konoha's third Hokage, the Uchiha could have bargained with the Senju-sama, demanded a few more village benefits, and still accepted it. Who was Sarutobi Hiruzen? And what of the Sarutobi clan behind him? During the Warring States period, they were just a small clan dependent on the Senju. Back then, the Uchiha could have wiped them out at any moment if they were unhappy. Now he's trying to climb over the Uchiha clan's heels. Having the Senju-sama above them is already a problem for the Uchiha clan, but with Sarutobi on top, how could they possibly survive? The Uchiha are no small clan, they're a ninja clan with a 1,000-year-old heritage, and they have to maintain their dignity. Well, Inayana, you're speaking humanely. Uchiha Nan glanced at Inaheim with a satisfied expression. He liked to talk, so he had to say more at this moment. Yes, we Uchiha refuse to accept. I don't believe the Senju clan will accept this and let Sarutobi Hiruzen, a coward who loves his life and death, become Hokage. As a cage guard, how can you be qualified to be Hokage if you can't even protect the Hokage? For a moment, the room was filled with chatter, and the previously quiet Uchiha clan was in an uproar. In the eyes of the Uchiha, The person who could be the Hokage of Konoha was either from the Senju clan or the Uchiha clan. No one else was qualified. Chapter 6, Hook literature never goes out of style. Inside the Uchiha guard department room, Uchiha Non looked at the Uchiha people who were in a state of rage, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Quiet Uchiha Non waved his hand, signaling everyone to be quiet, and the Uchiha people under his command quickly shut up. The Uchiha present stared at Uchiha Non. The captain got the news first and immediately gathered them together. There was no way they would obediently accept Sarutobi Hiruzen as the third Hokage of Konoha. Uchiha Non looked at everyone and said, Konoha village was originally founded by the Uchiha and Senju. The first Hokage had unparalleled combat power and could suppress the ninja world with one hand. The second Hokage had a lot of wisdom and strategies, and he could use all kinds of forbidden techniques at will. These two deserve to be the Hokage of Konoha. Uchiha Non sneered, but who is Sarutobi Hiruzen? Taken with a mission of protecting Lord Tobirama, he eventually abandoned the cage of Konoha and fled back to Konoha in disgrace like a stray dog. He brought back Lord Tobirama's last will and shamelessly wanted to become the three great Hokage of Konoha? This is such a ridiculous idea. Do you agree? No, the Uchiha people answered in unison. It was a disgrace to Konoha for such a person to become the cage of Konoha. Very good, I don't agree either, Uchiha Non nodded. The original plot of Naruto in the previous life was arranged like this. There was no doubt that Kishimoto, the old manga artist, was crazy. But in the real world of Naruto today, it can only be Uzumaki Miro who will protect the sky, go against all objections, rely on his own strong strength and reputation, and force the Konoha family to eat this pile of stinky dog shit. It's ridiculous to say that Uzumaki Miro didn't let his son be Hokage, but chose Sarutobi Hiruzen. She misjudged people, and deserved the Senju and Uzumaki clan's ultimate annihilation, ultimately leading to the annihilation of the entire Uchiha clan along with them. In the middle of the night, wasn't she afraid that those members of her clan, who shouldn't have died, would come after her to seek revenge? Iron Fire, take your team to your jurisdiction and spread the news that the Shadow Guards abandoned the Hokage and escaped alone. Inheim, take your team to your jurisdiction and spread the news that the Shadow Guards colluded with a Reincarnated to kill the Hokage. Iron Fire, Uchiha Kusunoki fabricated a slew of stories, spreading both true and false intelligence, and then spreading rumors. Uchiha Kusunoki couldn't imagine what version of events would eventually spread in Konoha. The Uchiha under his command watched him in amazement. Could he pull this off? This was going to drive the Shadow Guards who had escaped back to the grave. If this news got out, Sarutobi Hiruzen wouldn't be able to inherit the position of Hokage, let alone survive. Captain, you're brilliant. Truly brilliant, you're even more cunning than Lord Tobirama, Inahori blurted out without a second thought. As soon as he finished speaking, Inahori regretted it, looking at Uchiha Non with horror. No, Captain, that's not what I meant. I was praising you, your wit, your intelligence, yes, your intelligence. Uchiha Non wanted to punch Uchiha Inahori now. Inahori, you can't talk, you can actually keep your mouth shut. What I said was cunning. It's called strategy. Do you understand what a public opinion offensive is? Uchiha Non looked at Uchiha Inahori and gave him a standard smile, but his fake smile made Uchiha Inahori feel cold. I know, I understand what you mean. When you're done, remember to come find me at my house. I'll test your training. No, Captain, I was wrong. Brother, say something, speak for me. Uchiha Inahori was anxious, hoping his brother, Chihiro, would come to his rescue. Uchiha Chihiro decisively stepped away from Uchiha Inahori. This foolish younger brother was completely unmanageable. He kept running into the captain's gun, looking like he really needed to be punished. He couldn't draw the captain's wrath onto himself, the captain could easily take down both of them. Inahori, shut up. Now, follow orders. Remember to come find me when you're done, don't make me come find you. Uchiha Non glared at Uchiha Inahori and waved him off, saying he needed to be alone for a while. With that, everyone tactfully left the room to carry out Uchiha Nan's orders. Before long, the Uchiha guards were active in every populated corner of Konoha. Every busy street corner had a shop run by the Uchiha family, and the surrounding land might even belong to the Uchiha family. With so many people in the Uchiha clan, it was no easy task to support such a large family. The clan members could take care of their own food, clothing, housing, and transportation, but training was different. Ninja tools, ninjutsu training, and all sorts of secret medicines for training were not something that ordinary Uchiha clan members could afford. D-level missions, which paid between 500 and 1,000 taels each time, were not very dangerous and were usually performed by Jinan. C-level missions offered slightly higher pay, ranging from 2,000 to 10,000 taels, but were usually accompanied by some danger, such as missions like subduing bandits. In peacetime, to ensure safety, the village would often assign a Jonin as a bodyguard, and of course the Jonin would take half of the commission. B-rank missions are more dangerous and require opponents of Chunin rank and above. They typically involve escort duties, requiring ninjas of the lowest rank to participate. The bounty is also relatively high, ranging from 50,000 to 150,000 ryo. A-rank missions are primarily combat missions, involving assisting other nations or villages with problems or engaging in punitive campaigns. These missions typically involve engaging with powerful opponents, resulting in bounties ranging from 150,000 to 1 million ryo, a significant range depending on the strength of the opponent. Ordinary ninjas typically only receive B-rank missions. Each mission is completed in a team, and the completion time varies, ranging from a few days to a dozen days or even several months. The average monthly salary for a ninja is 40,000 to 50,000 ryo. A fine iron kunai costs 2,000 ryo, a shuriken 2,500 ryo, and a detonating talisman 5,000 ryo. Aside from food, clothing, shelter, and transportation, there's very little left for training, ninja tools, and secret medicine. Many mid and low-level ninjas would empty their savings to afford a set of armor, a few kunai and shurikens, and 2 or 3 detonating tags. This is when families step in, providing free subsidies for all the necessary training. Less than a third of Konoha's ninja are civilians, and the ninja clans still form the backbone of Konoha. Every time the Uchiha members of the security team enter a shop, they learn of a piece of information, which the waiters, intentionally or unintentionally, spread during transactions. In a single afternoon, news of the Hokage, Tobirama Senju's death, spread throughout Konoha. Rumors of the Shadow Guards abandoning the Hokage and returning to Konoha spread in various forms. The most widely circulated version that has been circulated for decades is that Senju Tobirama and Sarutobi Hiruzen had a forbidden love affair. Sarutobi Hiruzen had been selling the hook to Tobirama for many years, and eventually became Tobirama's disciple. Tobirama even risked his life to protect Hiruzen. Brothers, please give some comments and recommendation votes. Chapter 7 The Girl's Cry. At dusk, Tsunade walked dejectedly through the streets of Konoha, trailed by 2 young men. Her usually sleek, shiny ponytail was now a bit disheveled. Tears shone in her eyes, and occasional sobs betrayed the utter devastation of Konoha's little princess. Jiraiya, with his head bowed, watched his beloved's grief, afraid to approach. He could only silently follow Tsunade, making his feelings known. Orochimaru's face was paler than usual. He understood Tsunade's feelings, having lost his parents in the brutal war. With a more sensitive mind than most, Orochimaru understood that Tsunade needed not only comfort but companionship. However, the soothing words he had learned were limited to a few, far inferior to Jiraiya's eloquence. Unfortunately, Jiraiya was acting like a coward, cowering when he should have been. He would follow Tsunade's lead. As a companion, he was always there. As Orochimaru pondered this, Tsunade suddenly turned around and forced a smile. Tears threatened to burst from her eyes, but her expression of fighting back grief was truly pitiful. Jiraiya, seeing Tsunade's smile, which was even uglier than tears, finally couldn't help but step forward to offer his comfort. Tsunade, you know, the villagers always like to talk nonsense. Hokage-sama is so powerful, he won't die. Before Jiraiya could even utter the word die, Tsunade interrupted him, now terrified of hearing it. Second grandfather is the Hokage. Even grandpa is afraid of him. He's so powerful, he won't be in any danger. He knows so many forbidden techniques, water jutsu, fire jutsu. Tsunade sobbed and spoke many words, as if trying to prove something, but soon she gave way. Tears welled up like a broken dam. She hurriedly said see you tomorrow and ran home without a backward glance. Her pride kept her from showing weakness in front of her companions. She was the Hokage's granddaughter. In a moment, Tsunade disappeared from Jiraiya and Orochimaru's sight. Jiraiya, why didn't you say something earlier? Orochimaru stared at the distraught Jiraiya, a wave of anger rising within him. Jiraiya, who had begged him to play the villain, to be the hero and save the damsel in distress, now acted like a fool at such a crucial moment. Jiraiya was speechless. He had wanted to say something, to do something, but for some reason, He felt like he had lost his soul. Tisk, useless. Orochimaru sneered, cursing inwardly. He turned away from Jiraiya and headed home. Jiraiya was the only one left on the street, his shadow stretched long in the setting sun. He stood there in a daze for a moment before recovering from his recent defeat. Jiraiya walked home alone, his mind a tangle of thoughts. Words of comfort streamed through his mind, but they were of no use now. Senju Clan Land. Tsunade sobbed and whizzed through the Senju Clan Land gate, eager to run to Grandma Uzumaki Mido. Grandma Uzumaki Mido must know about the second grandfather. As Tsunade entered the door, she saw a familiar red color. Mido was sitting in front of the table, which was full of food. Grandma, people in the village said that the second grandfather. Tsunade's tears flowed freely on her face, and she threw herself into Uzumaki Mido's arms, sobbing. Uzumaki Mido hugged Tsunade and patted her back gently. A wave of sadness surged in her heart, tears flashed in her eyes, and several thoughts flashed through her mind. The news of Tobirama's death leaked out so quickly? Who is it? Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, Uchiha Kagami? The faces of several people flashed through Uzumaki Mido's mind. The biggest thought was naturally that her own granddaughter was so pitiful. Is second grandfather really dead? Tsunade raised her tear-stained face, looking towards Uzumaki Mido for answers. Looking at her tearful eyes, Mido wanted to tell her that Tobirama Senju was fine, that those were just rumors. But she couldn't. The truth was a flame, and lies were like paper. How could paper contain a flame? Lies couldn't be hidden from Tsunade. Deceiving her now would only cause greater harm later. A short pain is worse than a long one. Uzumaki Mido looked at her granddaughter with heartache, 1,000 words racing through her mind. Finally, she spoke slowly, Tsunade, you're the Hokage's granddaughter. Remember what Grandpa and second grandfather said to you, stay strong at all times, Grandma will always be with you. As Mido finished speaking, Tsunade's eyes widened, her heart finally giving way. She cried even louder, tears streaming uncontrollably. Mido was helpless, so she could only whisper soft words of comfort to Tsunade. The sun set, and the moon appeared over Konoha. Its bright moonlight cast a shadow over the streets, yet it illuminated few figures. The streets, usually bustling late into the night, were now sparsely populated. In just one afternoon, thanks to the diligent efforts of the Uchiha clan, the death of Senju Tobirama had spread throughout Konoha like a virus, spreading at an unprecedented rate. Konoha's Kage had died, having led them to victory in the First Shinobi World War, only to be killed during border negotiations on the eve of peace. How could they possibly enjoy themselves? Would Konoha's future be as peaceful and prosperous as it once was? The villagers, filled with grief and uncertainty about the future, closed their doors early. Inside, time ticked by, and Tsunade's voice grew fainter. Her long sobs finally wore her out, and she fell into a sad sleep. The traces of tears from her tears doomed her dreams to a bittersweet one. Uzumaki Mido tiptoed Tsunade to bed and covered her with a quilt, moving with great care, fearing to wake her. Uzumaki Mido sighed as he looked at Tsunade who was sleeping. As a ninja, separation of life and death was already the norm, but life would still go on, just like the sun would rise every day. Tsunade, you have to become stronger, Uzumaki Mido murmured softly, then walked out of the room, found the basin, and washed her face. She had just cried for a long time. Now she had more important things to do than crying. The future of Konoha was now on her shoulders. Senju Momoki, Uzumaki Mido gave an order and called Senju Momoki over, his expression as calm as an ancient well. Senju Momoki had been nearby for a long time, waiting for Uzumaki Mido's orders. The crying in the house had been noisy all night, and Senju Momoki didn't dare to let down his guard at this time. Go and call those brats over, yes. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 There's a Traitor Among Us. Hiruzen, Mido-sama, why are you calling us over so late? What's going on? Shimura Danzo muttered softly as he walked beside Sarutobi Hiruzen. He gazed at the moon, so bright a moment ago now shrouded in dark clouds. It was a dark, windy night, a time for murder and arson. For some reason, Shimura Danzo felt a chill, and the glances from the passing Senju clan members made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Danzo's emotions were mixed. while his close friend Sarutobi Hiruzen appeared calm and composed. "It's a blessing, not a curse. If it is, it's inevitable," Sarutobi Hiruzen said calmly. He was at the mercy of others, and now that he had reached this point, what else could he do? It was all just death, and Sarutobi Hiruzen wasn't afraid of it. He only regretted not having fulfilled his master's dying wish. Sarutobi Hiruzen quickened his pace, and Shimura Danzo, seeing him pick up the pace, hurried to catch up. Inside the room, Utane Kaharu, Mito Katoen, Uchiha Kagami, and Akimichi Tofu had arrived at Uzumaki Miro's room a bit faster than the other two. Standing in front of the door, Sarutobi Hiruzen saw two Senju clan jonin standing beside Mito. They already knew Senju Kahana and Senju Kaharu, both jonin of the Senju clan. Two more rows of Senju clan ninjas stood inside the door, waiting for them as if for a trial. Such a grand scene frightened Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo. If they weren't able to handle the situation properly, the trees planted in the Senju family's courtyard would likely grow even more luxuriantly. Utane Kaharu, Mito Katoen, and the others, upon seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo finally arrive, gave them a wry smile. There was a hint of relief in their eyes. Just now, standing there, gazing at the Senju clan ninja around them, had been a truly unpleasant experience. Sitting in the hall, Uzumaki Mito remained silent, his face expressionless. Aside from a quick glance at Uchiha Kagami, he never glanced at them again, then settled back into his chair and slowly sipped his tea. Mito Katoen and Utane Kaharu were well aware of their status. They were like rootless duckweed, easily manipulated. The power of their families held no sway. Amidst Konoha's powerful bloodline and occult families, no one cared about them or the thoughts of their families. Dead or dead, who in the vastness of Konoha dared to say anything? Akimichi Tofu and Uchiha Kagami were different. One was the son of the Akimichi clan leader of the Ino Shikacho occult family, the future Ino Shikacho clan of Konoha. Uchiha Kagami was a prodigy of the Uchiha clan, not only a beloved member of the Uchiha clan, but his accession to the rank of Senju Tobirama was crucial to maintaining the Hokage's relationship with the Uchiha clan, a position of extraordinary political significance. In short, their lives were secure. The Senju clan's ninjas had been keeping a close eye on them, burdened by the dual pressures of psychological distress and the threat of death. Mito Katoen and Utane Kaharu constantly felt they were being watched, as they were the easiest to bully. Uzumaki Mito remained silent, sipping her tea, clearly waiting for someone, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo. No, she was waiting for Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage appointed by her teacher, Senju Tobirama. Shimura Danzo was in the same position as them, a mere addition. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo stood at the doorway, not entering, watching the extraordinary scene. Suddenly, a string in their brains seemed to snap, a humming in their heads. Uzumaki Miro put down her teacup, looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo outside, and said calmly, "Since you're here, come in." Those simple words sent a tingling sensation through Danzo's scalp, his feet rooted to the ground. He froze, turning to Sarutobi Hiruzen, waiting to see what he would do. After a brief moment of confusion, Sarutobi Hiruzen finally came to his senses after hearing a word from Uzumaki Mito. He took a deep breath and strode into the room with a calm expression. Shimura Danzo quickly followed and walked behind Sarutobi Hiruzen. As soon as Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo entered the room, the ninja from the Senju family standing next to the door immediately closed the door. The sound of snap made Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, Utane Kaharu, Mito Katoen, Akimichi Tofu, and Uchiha Kagami who were present tremble in their hearts. How scary. In the room, Shimura Danzo and the other 5 people looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen together, and their meaning was very clear. It's time for you to speak up. You are the future third Hokage. If you don't speak up, who will? Sarutobi Hiruzen, feeling the gazes of the crowd, swallowed hard, and steeled himself to step forward and ask, "Mito-sama, you called us here so late. Did something happen in Konoha?" Uzumaki Miro looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, and the few seconds of eye contact made his heart race. "I remember telling you before, no one should tell anyone about Tobirama's death, but this afternoon, the whole of Konoha knew about it." Uzumaki Miro slammed the table, her demanding words piercing Sarutobi Hiruzen's and the others' faces. The 6 of them stared at each other, still unsure of what had happened. This afternoon, they had all been alone in the rooms prepared by the Senju family, either resting or receiving treatment from their medical ninja. "I need an explanation." Uzumaki Mito glared fiercely, her eyes sweeping over Sarutobi, Hiruzen and the others. Her chakra began to surge, revealing the Nine Tails chakra, its chaotic, sinister aura engulfing everyone. Death, death, death! Utenkaharu, Midokadon, and Shimura Danzo cried out in their hearts. I swear to heaven, I've stayed inside the house the entire day and haven't left. Aside from the medical ninja sent by the Senju clan, I haven't seen anyone else. If I leak the news of Tobirama-sama's death, I'll die a miserable death. I swear on my family, I absolutely didn't leak any information, or else my whole family will be killed. Everyone. Utenkaharu was the only woman present, and her will was relatively fragile. Facing the full force of Uzumaki Mito's aura, she didn't hold out for more than a second before launching into a sworn oath that threatened to destroy her entire family. I swear to, I swear to, I swear to. Utenkaharu's emotional breakdown dragged down the other five, turning them into parrots. HMPH, an oath is all it takes. What I need is an explanation. Uzumaki Mito wasn't someone to be fooled so easily. If these brats didn't give up any useful information, she wouldn't mind using some extraordinary means. Konoha's end was very good at extracting information from the enemy's brain. Just when several people were swearing madly, trying to prove their innocence, the door suddenly opened. A man walked in from outside, Momoki Senju, and said as soon as he entered the door, Mr. Mito. The source of the information has been found out, all from the Uchiha family's shops. As soon as the voice fell, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, Utenkaharu, Mito Kadoen, Akimichi Tofu, all looked at Uchiha Kagami. Uchiha Kagami was stunned. Me? I want to show the characteristics of each character in Konoha during this time period, and continue to pave the way for the subsequent plot, and write the Naruto in my mind. After all, there are still many logical loopholes in Kishimoto, the old comics author. Finally, please comment, collect, and recommend. Hehe. Chapter 9 Trust. Are you messing with me? Why are you messing with me? Uchiha Kagami felt the sharp gazes, the eyes of his former teammates filled with disappointment. Just a moment ago, the six of them had huddled together for warmth, resisting the immense pressure brought upon them by Uzumaki Mito, but now they were falling apart. Shimura Danzo, Utenkaharu, Mito Menon, and Akimichi Tofu, as if by telepathy, moved away from Uchiha Kagami. Only Sarutobi Hiruzen remained where he was, his eyes gazing at Uchiha Kagami with a complex expression. Uzumaki Mito's hair fluttered slightly, and those who knew him well knew he was on the verge of a rage. Mito's immense chakra was unleashed, a visible aura of chakra surrounding him. Tiny cracks appeared on the hard floor beneath his feet, and if Uzumaki Mito exerted even the slightest pressure, it would shatter and explode. Say something. You must say something. Alone, Uchiha Kagami endured the pressure posed by Uzumaki Mito, feeling like a small boat adrift on the boundless ocean. The sky was now thick with dark clouds, thunder and lightning flashed, and waves tens of meters high roared down from the surface, crashing down upon him. A deep sense of powerlessness washed over him. Killing intent, mingled with negative chakra, enveloped Uchiha Kagami's entire body, yet he felt powerless. Weak. Uchiha Kagami had never felt so weak. In his memory, the old woman before him was kind and gentle, with a perpetual smile on her face. Even so, Uchiha Kagami did not underestimate her. Her identity was no secret among the Uchiha clan, and her strength was always praised by the clan elders. That old woman, Mito, is not an easy person to get along with. Even I can only get along with her on equal terms, a certain Uchiha Warring State Sira elder once said of Uzumaki Mito. Now Uchiha Kagami realized that the elders in his clan were talking more nonsense than he'd imagined. He'd imagined Uzumaki Mito's strength, figuring that even if he wasn't a match, he'd at least be able to fight. Now, it seemed, he'd overestimated it. It wasn't me. I would never leak information, and I certainly wouldn't swear an oath on the Uchiha name. Uchiha Kagami invoked the Uchiha clan. He hadn't stooped to the level of swearing an oath that would kill the entire clan. However, Kagami's defense seemed weak. As soon as the six of them returned to the village, they headed straight for the Senju clan's territory to report the death. They hadn't seen anyone else since arriving, and once there, they hadn't left. Yet, within an afternoon, news of Senju Tobirama's death spread throughout Konoha. The source of the news was again an Uchiha. Including Uzumaki Mito, only 7 people knew of Senju Tobirama's death, and Uchiha Kagami was one of them. The Uchiha weren't without their own methods of secretly passing information. Did face-to-face communication really have to happen? Uchiha Kagame's explanations clearly failed to convince Mito. What had happened had already happened, and someone had to step up and bear the brunt of the consequences. Whether or not Uchiha Kagame had done it was irrelevant to Mito. Once the news had spread from the Uchiha clan, Kagame had become an accomplice. After all, he was an Uchiha. Mito stood up, his eyes thick with murderous intent. He couldn't kill the Uchiha brat before him, but he could certainly beat him until he was bedridden for 6 months. Mito-sama, I believe in Uchiha Kagame, Sarutobi Hiruzen declared. Then he positioned himself in front of Kagame, his gaze fixed on Mito. Everyone present was astonished. Even at this moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen had the audacity to stand up and defend Uchiha Kagame. An expression of surprise flashed across Uzumaki Mito's face, but it disappeared in a flash. She stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen's determined face for a few seconds, and then a voice came out of her throat. Monkey boy, do you know what you are talking about? Want to be a hero here? Pretend. This kind of trick can't impress me. The aura emitted by Uzumaki Mito moved away from Uchiha Kagame and stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Uchiha Kagame looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen with a grateful expression, and then began to breathe heavily. The feeling of floating on the sea and drowning at any time just now disappeared. The cold sweat all over his body had soaked through his close-fitting underwear. The clothes were tightly attached to Uchiha Kagame's skin, and the sticky feeling was very uncomfortable, but Uchiha Kagame didn't have time to care about this now. Hiruzen, don't be so stubborn. Uchiha Kagame is still an Uchiha after all. Danzo Shimura looked at his good friend, who was bearing the pressure alone, and the person he was protecting was an Uchiha who leaked the news. In Danzo Shimura's opinion, the person who leaked the news among the 6 of them must be Uchiha. Teacher Tobirama has always been on guard against the Uchiha. Uchiha Kagame is a member of the Uchiha clan after all, and leaking news to the Uchiha is not unacceptable. Shut up, did I ask you to speak? Uzumaki Miro looked at Danzo Shimura, and was very dissatisfied with Shimura Danzo's interruption. Danzo Shimura felt Uzumaki Miro's murderous gaze, and immediately shut his mouth, as honest as a quail. Mito-sama, I have no intention of playing tricks. I believe Uchiha Kagame is not that kind of person. Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke, his eyes sparkling, and there was no fear in his tone. Tell me your reasons. Uzumaki Miro asked. Uchiha Kagame is special. He doesn't have the Uchiha's arrogance and contempt for others. He is gentle and kind. He is always gentle to his companions. On the battlefield, he is a reliable comrade, and I can trust him with my back. Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke slowly, saying that he knew everything about Uchiha Kagame, from every little detail of their life to their life and death on the battlefield. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's memory, the Uchiha clan members were always arrogant, especially the Uchiha who opened the Sharingan, who were even more arrogant. Sarutobi Hiruzen recalled the Uchiha generation of his contemporaries, and there were 2 different types of Uchiha. One was the Uchiha Kagame he was familiar with, and the other was Uchiha Kusunoki. They were both powerful and humble, and ordinary ninjas could joke with them. Even if they were offended occasionally, they were not really angry, thinking that the other party had just spoken out of turn, and then they would just laugh it off and pass it by. Because of this, Senju Tobirama would try to accept Uchiha Kagame and Uchiha Kusunoki as his disciples. Uchiha Kagame accepted, but Uchiha Kusunoki refused. Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke in great detail, which moved everyone present. Even Shimura Danzo, who had just identified Uchiha Kagame as the leaker, began to wonder if he had wronged Uchiha Kagame. Chapter 10, Love Your Brothers or the Position of Hokage? Sarutobi Hiruzen kept talking. From the little bits and pieces of time he'd spent with Uchiha Kagame, he was convinced he would never reveal the news of his teacher, Tobirama Senju's death. Standing behind him, Uchiha Kagame's excitement was palpable. Money is easy to come by, but a true friend is hard to find. Uchiha Kagame hadn't known Sarutobi Hiruzen would trust him so much. A true friend. A true friend indeed. Hiruzen, next time you need help, just let me know. I'll be there for you. As Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke, the vast room fell silent. Everyone present remained silent, their gazes fixed on Uzumaki Mito, awaiting her judgment. HMPH, a sneer escaped Uzumaki Mito's throat. Mito looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, a hint of irony in her smile. That's a good point. Are you sure you really want to protect Uchiha Kagame? You know, with Kagame's identity, even if he did leak the information, I couldn't kill him. He'd suffer at most. The leak has already happened. As an Uchiha, Kagame is an accomplice, whether he did it or not, You've been tricked like that. I'm really angry. Think carefully about this question. The answer will affect my attitude towards you and your future position in Konoha." With that, Uzumaki Mito's aura subsided. The chakra that had just surged forth, like a boundless ocean, vanished completely, leaving everyone present feeling relieved. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't feel any more relieved. Uzumaki Mito's question troubled him. He knew exactly what she meant by position. Sarutobi Hiruzen wasn't so foolish as to think he could become the Kage of the most powerful ninja village in the entire ninja world based solely on a verbal appointment. Even if Senju Tobirama were still alive, nominating him for the Hokage position would have faced significant resistance. Tobirama lacked the final say in Konoha, only Hoshirama could do so. The reason was simple: Hoshirama possessed a supreme martial power capable of silencing everyone. Meanwhile, Senju Tobirama would continue to suppress, divide, and fairly distribute benefits to keep the village's bloodline families willingly at his service. Whether he could fulfill his master's will and become Hokage now depended entirely on Uzumaki Mito. Sarutobi Hiruzen understood what Mito was saying. Love for his brothers, or the position of Hokage? The weight of the following answer weighed heavily, so much so that Sarutobi Hiruzen hesitated, his mind frozen in thought for a few seconds. Watching Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression, Shimura Danzo stood anxiously by, wishing he could make the choice for him. Of course, it was because he loved the position of Hokage. Uchiha Kagami wouldn't die, after all. He'd be confined to his home for 6 months at most. Sarutobi Hiruzen's intervention just now was a testament to their shared camaraderie. Uchiha Kagami, too, stared at Sarutobi Hiruzen, hoping he'd abandon him for now. Sarutobi Hiruzen's previous outburst of righteousness had been enough for Uchiha Kagami, who felt Uchiha Mito was just venting his anger. It was just physical pain. For my brother, I, Uchiha Kagami, can endure it. Mito-sama, Uchiha Kagami is innocent. Please don't vent your anger on him. Sarutobi Hiruzen raised his head and met Uzumaki Mito's gaze. His inner integrity wouldn't allow him to abandon Uchiha Kagami. Okay, very okay, you little bastard, there's a price to pay for being a hero. I hope you can bear it. Uzumaki Mito slammed his hand on the table and shouted. Then ordered the surrounding Senju ninjas to throw out all 5 of them, except Sarutobi Hiruzen. They were kept in the Senju clan's territory to suppress the news. Now that the news of Senju Tobirama's death had spread throughout Konoha's streets, what was the point of keeping these useless people around? It was a waste of the Senju clan's food. Outside the Senju clan's territory, just coming out like that, the quiet night, the bright moon, made Uchiha Kaoru, who had just been on the brink of death, feel as if she were in another world, and she sighed. Why do you still want to go back? Mito Kataoen teased from the side, prompting Uchiha Kaoru to deny it repeatedly. She had finally escaped the dangerous Senju clan's territory, so how could she possibly go back? She was just a bystander, okay? Hokage, the future of Konoha? Such a heavy responsibility. It was not her turn to bear such heavy responsibilities. She should go home and get some sleep. Shimura Danzo looked at the two joking Uchiha Kaoru and Miro Kataoen before him, and he was furious and shouted directly. Hiruzen, he hasn't come out yet. Danzo Shimura was heartbroken. His best friend had been left behind in the Senju clan's territory again, and he didn't know what was going to happen to him. Uzumaki Mito's reaction just now was clearly irritating. Hiruzen, you're such a jerk. You're always trying to be a hero. You were like that when you chose to be bait and die in front of Master Senju Tobirama, and you're still like that now. Relax, Hiruzen will be fine. Kagami Uchiha was equally worried about Sarutobi Hiruzen's safety. He knew that Uzumaki Mito wouldn't harm Sarutobi's life, otherwise he wouldn't have released them and instead imprisoned them all in the Senju clan's territory. But Sarutobi Hiruzen's life wouldn't be any easier. Mito Uzumaki was furious. Now Sarutobi Hiruzen was the only one left in the Senju clan's territory. If he didn't suffer, who would? Uchiha Kagami, shut up. It's you who's responsible for Hiruzen being left in the Senju clan's territory. You and the Uchiha clan are both bad people. The news of Tobirama-sensei's death was passed back by the Uchiha clan. For Hiruzen's sake, I'll trust you for now. You'd better not leak the news, or I won't let you go. Shimura Danzo raged at Uchiha Kagami, blaming him for everything. Uchiha Kagami was scolded and fell silent. He wanted to refute something, but he hesitated. Shimura Danzo wouldn't believe anything he said now. Put yourself in his shoes. Even if you were Shimura Danzo, he wouldn't believe himself. including Uzumaki Mito. Only 7 people knew about it. The news leaked out in an instant, and the source was still Uchiha. He was the only one with the surname Uchiha among the 7. He couldn't just put this huge pot on his shoulders without any reason. His small body couldn't even carry it. Shimura Danzo roared for a long time, and Uchiha Kagami just took it. He felt guilty towards Hiruzen, and he had no way to defend himself against Shimura Danzo's questioning. Curse, just think of it as for Hiruzen, it would make him feel better. Uchiha Kagami thought so, and after a while Danzo finally got tired of scolding, and finally glared at Uchiha Kagami, left them, and walked towards his home. Uten Kaharu, Mito Katoen, and Akimichi Tafumi left, and they didn't want to continue entangled with Uchiha Kagami here, so they said goodbye and went home. They also didn't trust Uchiha Kagami, but their reaction was not as strong as Danzo's. Seeing his former companions drifting away, Uchiha Kagami swore in his heart that he would find out the truth. The guy who leaked the news, you just wait for me. Seeking daily recommendations, comments, and most importantly, collections. Chapter 11 Night Talk. At night, Sarutobi Hiruzen watched as the Senju clan ninjas left the reception hall one by one. The large, empty living room made him feel extremely uncomfortable. The rustling of crickets lingered in his ears, and he couldn't help but feel uneasy. Just now, Uzumaki Mito had asked everyone present to leave, and now only 2 people were left in the room. Sarutobi Hiruzen observed Uzumaki Mito's face. His face was calm, without any trace of anger, as if Mito's previous anger had been feigned. Mito-sama, please don't take my previous disagreement to heart. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought for a moment, and decided that he needed to say something now to restore his image in Mito's heart. Okay, sit down. I know what you want to say. Uzumaki Mito waved his hand, interrupting Sarutobi Hiruzen and asking him to sit down and talk. Sarutobi Hiruzen then walked over to a nearby stool and sat down, but only halfway. He couldn't yet grasp Mito's thoughts, ready to stand up any moment for another punishment. Mito watched Sarutobi's cautious, restless expression with a hint of amusement. Her expression shifted, a kindly look returning. Monkey boy, your performance just now has impressed me in a different light. You're not as ordinary as I thought. You have some extraordinary qualities. Mito, observing Sarutobi Hiruzen's nervous expression, offered a compliment. Throughout her long life, Mito had witnessed countless geniuses favored by heaven. Her husband, Hoshirama Senju, her brother-in-law, Tobirama Senju, Uchiha Madara Uchiha, and Uchiha Izuna Uchiha. They were the most dazzling figures of their era, yet Sarutobi Hiruzen's displayed talent seemed as ordinary as a roadside stone, unnoticed. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen's character was good, his teachings under Tobirama were good, and he passed on the fire will of Konoha. Mito, sir, you flatter me. I only did what I had to do, Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke modestly. Mito Uzumaki, now devoid of her previous fierce, predatory demeanor, now had the kind, gentle air of a neighbor's grandmother, which put Sarutobi Hiruzen at ease. Don't be so modest. You've been quite remarkable in your generation, but do you think you're worthy of the position of Hokage of Konoha? Mito Uzumaki's words extinguished the fire that had just been ignited in Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart. Was he worthy? Sarutobi Hiruzen wanted to answer that he was worthy of becoming the Hokage of Konoha. This was the dream he had set for himself since he became a ninja, an ambition he had never wavered from despite life and death. Unfortunately, the truth was harsh, he wasn't worthy. I will do my best to become a worthy Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen replied. He simply couldn't bring himself to say he wasn't worthy. It seems you have some self-awareness. Uzumaki Mito stood up, her eyes fixed on the Konoha crest on the wall of the reception room, her gaze deepening. There are many in Konoha who are more suitable to be the Sandaime Hokage than you, like me, or my son, Senju Momorima. Even Uchiha Kagami from earlier was more suited to be Hokage than you. He possessed the military power to suppress everyone in Konoha, a distinguished background, and a powerful family. You don't have any of those things. I've thought about it for a long time, but I still can't understand why Tobirama would pass the position of Sandaime Hokage to you. I can't fathom what that bastard Tobirama was thinking before he died. He only caused me so much trouble. Just like his brother, that damned Hashirama, and I always thought he was the one I'd worry less about. Uzumaki Mito spoke to herself, her voice aged, her mind reminiscing about the past. Now, the burden of protecting Konoha fell on her shoulders, a weight so heavy that it felt almost suffocating. Sarutobi Hiruzen sat there, daring not to utter a word. Uzumaki Mito had scolded 2 Hokages with a single sentence, so how could he dare interrupt? Although I can't understand why Tobirama would pass the Sandaime Hokage position to you, I will still help you. After all, it was Tobirama's last will. I hope I was mistaken, and there are qualities in you I haven't yet discovered. Uzumaki Mito looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, and his words made his heart pound, his expression filled with joy. Mito-sama, I will do my best, don't be so happy. I only said I would help you, not that I would definitely make you the Hokage of Konoha. After all, you're still far from becoming the Hokage of Konoha? Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. He knew his own situation, and he had self-awareness. But things were much better now. Uzumaki Mito's willingness to help him was already the greatest mercy from heaven. Originally, I wanted to conceal the news of Tobirama's death first, then find a way to suppress the Konoha clan. I would wait until the dust settled before releasing the news of Tobirama's death. What a pity. Those Uchiha guys can never let their guard down. The news of Tobirama's death has spread throughout Konoha, and the news that you abandoned Tobirama and fled back to the village has spread to everyone. Who knows how bad your reputation in Konoha will be next? Mito-sama, we didn't mean to abandon Tobirama on purpose. It was. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up and tried to defend himself. On the battlefield, ninjas must obey orders, even if they violated their duties. Moreover, these were orders from the Hokage, and the 6 of them were not capable of disobeying Senju Tobirama's orders. Uzumaki Mito waved a hand, telling Sarutobi Hiruzen not to get too excited. I know, no need to explain. Tobirama always means what he says, especially on the battlefield. You must obey his decisions, but the villagers won't understand, especially with the Uchiha leading the charge. You must be prepared, Uzumaki Mito warned Sarutobi Hiruzen. This wasn't unsolvable. The Hokage sacrificed himself to carry out Konoha's will of fire and save the new leaf. Sarutobi Hiruzen still had Tobirama's legacy and the blessing of righteousness, so he could barely salvage his reputation. With proper management, he could make amends. After all, the opinions of the villagers, who had no military power at all, couldn't determine the position of Hokage. The power to decide the position lay with Konoha's ninja clans. I understand, Mito-sama, Sarutobi Hiruzen said, his tone thick with gratitude. He was thankful for Mito-sama's help, otherwise, the spit of the Konoha villagers alone would have drowned him, let alone the chance to become Hokage. Chapter 12 The real obstacle is Kai and Shao. If you want to become Hokage, the biggest obstacle is the Konoha ninja clan, and the Uchiha clan will bear the brunt of it. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. The news of his teacher, Senju Tobirama's death, was leaked by the Uchiha clan. He believed that Uchiha Kagami was not the one who leaked the news, which meant that the Uchiha clan had their own information channels. It is even possible that they knew in advance that Lord Tobirama was attacked during this negotiation. The Uchiha clan has always been open about their desire for the position of Hokage. Even during Senju Tobirama's tenure as Hokage, there were still outrageous ideas within the Uchiha clan that wanted to overthrow his rule. However, such people always died in a mission or a war, and the Uchiha clan could not find any flaws to prove that their deaths were related to Senju Tobirama. The deaths of several extremists brought a sense of sympathy to the Uchiha clan, calming them down considerably. Furthermore, Senju Tobirama was fair, ensuring that the Uchiha clans received every share of the profits they were entitled to. Konoha's other ninja clans had flourished in Konoha over the years, fully recognizing Senju Tobirama as Hokage. It was a pity that his teacher, Tobirama, unexpectedly died during this negotiation, presenting the Uchiha clan with a golden opportunity to seize the position of Hokage. I have confidence in the Uchiha clan. They've always been the same. They obey whoever has the bigger fist. When Hashirama defeated Madara, and Madara eventually fled Konoha, the Uchiha clan didn't follow him, and now, no Uchiha clan member in Konoha is a match for me. Unless they're mad enough to send their elite clan members, regardless of the cost, they might be able to kill me, but they don't have the guts. Uzumaki Mito changed the subject, her tone brimming with confidence. Currently, no one in Konoha could rival her. Uzumaki Mito, already incredibly powerful, and with the 9 tails within her, she was a walking scourge. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Uzumaki Mito's confident expression, his heart fluttering, and he felt the style of a powerful elder. He had just experienced Uzumaki Mito's strength, which was so strong that it was suffocating. Uchiha, I do have a way to solve it. The Uchiha clan is not the only one that is hindering you from becoming Hokage. The Senju clan doesn't want you to become Hokage either. Uzumaki Mito sighed. The real crisis did not come from the Uchiha outside, but from his own clan, the Senju. Sarutobi Hiruzen opened his eyes wide, thinking that Uzumaki Mito supported him, and subconsciously believed that the Senju clan was his own. You don't think I can represent the Senju clan, do you? Uzumaki Mito looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression and said slowly. Normally, my status allows me to run rampant within the Senju clan, and even Tobirama has to give me face. But now that Tobirama is dead, the position you're vying for is Konoha's third Hokage. 2 Hokage have already been Senju. The Senju have enjoyed this honor, accustomed to the benefits that come with being Hokage, and have even seen the third Hokage as a foregone conclusion. Uzumaki Mito spoke slowly, giving Sarutobi Hiruzen time to digest his thoughts. Convincing the Senju clan to accept Sarutobi Hiruzen was Mito Uzumaki's biggest headache. The Senju clan founded Konoha, and 2 of them were Senju Hokage, both of whom died in the position. This held immense prestige. Furthermore, during the First Shinobi World War, the Senju clan contributed the most to Konoha, as their clan leader was the Hokage. Senju members were often the most numerous in the most dangerous positions. The Senju clan members were equally willing to sacrifice their lives to protect Konoha. Almost the entire clan believed that the third Hokage would once again be a Senju clan member. Extreme Senju clan members even believed that they, the Senju clan, were Konoha. Now that the war was almost over and the fruits of victory were about to be reaped, the blood of the Senju clan members was almost drained, and the Sarutobi clan, who used to follow behind and pick up food, were left to reap the rewards. Uzumaki Mito couldn't even imagine the depth of resentment this must have instilled. The elders of the Senju clan who had survived the Warring States period were still alive, and each of them valued the future of their clan more than their own lives. Some were older than Hashirama, some even 2 or 3 generations older, and had dedicated their entire lives to the Senju clan. This was like a slap in the face to Hashirama, and Hashirama had to cheerfully persuade him. Grandpa, your hand must hurt, but I won't do it again next time. Uzumaki Mito could imagine how furious they would be if he said Tobirama would pass the position of the third Hokage to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Even if Tobirama were alive, he would probably curse him like a piece of shit, let alone himself. The sentence, "What qualifications do you, and Uzumaki, have to discuss the affairs of the Senju family," could choke him to death. These old men, forced into a corner, dared to say all kinds of nonsense. Even if he was unparalleled in combat, he couldn't do anything to them. Not to mention that these old men were no longer afraid of death. They would stretch out their necks and let Uzumaki Mito chop them down. As long as you can guarantee that the third Hokage will still belong to the Senju family, they will die willingly. Mito-sama, this, Sarutobi Hiruzen was speechless. The Senju clan objected, and he had no choice. What could he do to his teacher's family? He couldn't win in battle, and it was even more unreasonable. The elders of the Senju clan have long since chosen the right person for the third Hokage position, Momoyama Senju. He's Hashirama's son, and a leader within the Senju clan. He fought brilliantly in this ninja war. As the commander of a front, he withstood the pressure from the Iwakage village. He's heading towards Konoha now, and will be back soon. Uzumaki Mito looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, scrutinizing him. While she could help him share the pressure from the Uchiha clan, she couldn't handle the pressure from the Senju clan. She was already at her limit, not to mention that Momoyama Senju was her son, who had always followed his father, Hashirama, as his role model, dreaming of becoming Hokage and protecting Konoha. She wasn't so selfless as to help an outsider beat her son. If you want to become Hokage, you must defeat Momoyama. Defeat him fairly in front of the Senju clan, then I will have a chance to help you convince the Senju clan, Uzumaki Mito continued. This was already the limit of what she could do. She saw how much Momoyama had paid to become Hokage. Alice, Tobirama, you bastard, you are even more of a bastard than Hashirama. You really give me problems. Uzumaki Mito was conflicted and wanted to pull Tobirama Senju out of the underworld and beat him up. Mito-sama, I understand. You have done enough. Sarutobi Hiruzen was full of gratitude. Uzumaki Mito was selfless enough. Momoyama Senju was her son. She had deliberately avoided this identity just now. Mito-sama had been fair enough. Thank you for your daily recommendation votes for riding a pig to watch the sunrise and run to fighting the melon-eating badger. Keep asking for recommendation votes and collections. Chapter 13 I'm not pretending anymore, I'm going to reveal my cards. In the early morning, A thin layer of mist hung over the Uchiha clan's territory. Uchiha Kagami walked slowly, aimlessly, his eyes bloodshot. After leaving the Senju clan's territory, he had been wandering the streets of Konoha until dawn, returning to the clan. His mind was in turmoil. Initially, he wanted to find the Uchiha clan leader who had leaked the news of Tobirama-sama's death. But after calming down, Kagami realized that even if he caught him, what good would it do? Without the help of the Uchiha clan, he alone could not have spread the news of Tobirama-sama's death throughout Konoha in just one afternoon. What if Uchiha Tomita was the mastermind behind the news? As the head of the Uchiha clan, he seemed the most likely suspect. There were only a few people in the entire Uchiha clan who could mobilize the clan's power so quickly. Would he turn against the clan leader for Sarutobi Hiruzen? Uchiha Kagami felt his head spinning. Even such a treasonous thought could have occurred to him. But it was just like that, and he was inexplicably being blamed. He felt so angry that he had no place to vent, and he couldn't face Sarutobi Hiruzen. "Hey, Kagami, you're back." Several passing Uchiha clan members greeted Kagami upon seeing him return, their eyes flickering over him, each with a strange expression. They had heard that Kagami and his men had abandoned the Hokage and fled back to Konoha, but they hadn't expected a genius like him to do such a thing. "Captain Uchiha Kusunoki, was it true that you abandoned the Hokage and fled back to Konoha?" "Yes, you're an Uchiha genius, you wouldn't do such a thing." Captain Kusunoki also said that Sarutobi Hiruzen would become Konoha's third Hokage. "That's impossible." Kagami seemed to suddenly be surrounded by a large number of Uchiha clan members, all of whom began to pry for information, trying to verify the truth of Uchiha Kusunoki's news. "Who are you talking about, Uchiha-nan?" Uchiha Kagami's expression was filled with disbelief. The person who leaked the news of Tobirama-sama's death was Uchiha-nan? How could this be possible? Uchiha-nan was the clan member he got along with the most. Uchiha-nan was an Uchiha recognized by Tobirama-sensei, an Uchiha who had transcended vulgarity and inherited Konoha's will of fire. If he could do such a thing, what was the difference between him and the hawkish Uchiha in the clan? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Uchiha Kagami thought he was exhausted, his ears were hallucinating. Or maybe this was a genjutsu, someone was plotting against him. "Break it. I break it." Uchiha Kagami formed a seal specifically designed to combat genjutsu, but it was useless. The Uchiha clan members around him continued to chatter about Uchiha-nan. "Enough," Uchiha Kagami shouted. He didn't want to waste any more time here. He wanted to personally confront Uchiha-nan and ask him why he had done this. He must have had his reasons. The clan leader must have forced him to do this. 16 years. Uchiha Kusunoki's image as a good guy in Konoha for 16 years made Uchiha Kagami unable to accept this reality. How could an Uchiha pretend to be a good person for 16 years, and even deceived Tobirama-sensei? That was simply too scary. Uchiha Kagami was so anxious that he used the instant body movement technique and arrived at Uchiha Kusunoki's home in just a few minutes. "Uchiha Kusunoki, don't be afraid. Did the clan leader force you to go to the front line and leak the news of Tobirama-sama's death?" Uchiha Kusunoki was doing a set of times call exercises as usual to exercise his body when he saw Uchiha Kagami's eyes were bloodshot and his expression was a little crazy. What he said made Uchiha Kusunoki feel confused. "What clan leader? Uchiha Tomita had the ability to force me? Such a good thing." When Senju Tobirama was alive, he had to maintain a persona and conceal his intentions. Now that Tobirama is dead, he's still plotting how to dethrone Uchiha Tomita and become the head of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Kusunoki is determined to take the position of the third Hokage. He hopes that Uchiha Tomita, the clan leader, won't compete with him, or else he'll have to eliminate him first. "Uchiha Kagami, I was the one who had the security forces spread the news of Tobirama's death throughout Konoha. Uchiha Tomita knows nothing about it, he doesn't have that information." Ha. Uchiha Kusunoki curled his lips into a smile, his words completely unconcerned with Tobirama and Uchiha Tomita, not even using honorifics. He was going to confront Uchiha Tomita and become Hokage himself. He couldn't let Uchiha Tomita remain the head of the Uchiha clan after he became Hokage. They were going to fall out in the end, so why keep pretending? He'd already tired of pretending when Senju Tobirama was alive. Uchiha Kusunoki was determined to climb the ladder, becoming the head of the Uchiha clan and the Hokage of Konoha. "Uchiha Kusunoki, how did you become like this? You weren't like this before." Uchiha Kagami's voice trembled. The Uchiha Kusunoki before him was so unfamiliar, and the unbridled smile beside his ear was so piercing. Uchiha Kusunoki now looked exactly like the hawkish members of the clan. Was Uchiha Kusunoki's past appearances all a facade? That was too terrifying. Could someone really pretend to be the heir of the Will of Fire for 16 years? Tobirama-sama, I have always had high hopes for you, believing you to be the heir of Konoha's Will of Fire. Was your past appearance all a facade, pretend? Uchiha Kusunoki scoffed. Was there any need to pretend? He was no fool, he had learned the basics of caring for his companions and respecting the elderly and the young. It was just that the Uchiha clan was too arrogant, so full of arrogance that what Uchiha Kusunoki had once considered normal behavior was now considered an anomaly among the Uchiha clan. For example, greeting the villagers of Konoha warmly, helping an elderly woman across the street, and even using the please sign when addressing vendors, all basic qualities expected of a university student. These were things the proud Uchiha wouldn't do. It was just that Uchiha Kusunoki later discovered that this method was indeed effective. The short essay he wrote at the Ninja Academy about the Will of Fire made even Senju Tobirama believe that Uchiha Kusunoki was an Uchiha who had inherited the Will of Fire. If you think so, then so be it. Uchiha Kusunoki was too lazy to explain so much to Uchiha Kagami. Was he too lazy to listen? Why did you come here so early in the morning just to tell me this? Seeing Uchiha Kusunoki's disguise torn off, he felt a chill run down his spine. The terrifying Uchiha Kusunoki before him was beyond his imagination. Uchiha Kusunoki truly pretended to be the heir of the Will of Fire, and he kept pretending until Tobirama-sensei died, revealing his true colors. Chapter 14, Want to put the blame on me? Take my knife first. You, Uchiha Kagami pointed at Uchiha Non, a chill running down his spine. Someone could wear a mask for over a decade, deceiving everyone in Konoha. And this person happened to be an Uchiha from his own family. It was truly terrifying. Uchiha Non looked at Uchiha Kagami with a strange expression, as if there was shit stuck in Uchiha Kagami's throat. Did he drop his vocal cords on the battlefield? Just like a tape recorder. Speak, how did you know about Lord Tobirama's death? Uchiha Kagami's eyes flashed with ferocity. He had been inexplicably blamed for Uchiha Nan's death, and had been teased by Uchiha Nan's mask for so many years, making Uchiha Kagami feel like a clown. He couldn't swallow the anger in his heart. What kind of rank are you? Are you worthy enough to interrogate me? Gold, you're nothing but a dog of Senju Tobirama, and a dog that abandoned its master. Uchiha Non stared at Uchiha Kagami's face, filled with resentment, as if he had wronged him, and he retorted directly, showing no mercy. In the Uchiha clan, no matter how much morality and righteousness he preached, it was no match for his fists. In the past, he had behaved like an outcast within the clan, and he had often dealt with those ignorant members of the clan. Now, Uchiha Non was aiming for the position of Hokage of Konoha. The tactics he had used as Hokage under Senju Tobirama were no longer effective. He had to strike hard within the Uchiha clan, crushing all who disobeyed him. Starting with you. A single blow would open the door, preventing 100 blows from coming. He'd pick a tough one. Uchiha Kagami's face froze, his expression darkening. The maskless Uchiha Non was a perfect match for the hawkish style of the clan. No, his insults were even harsher than theirs. When did he become Senju Tobirama's dog? He was his apprentice. Uchiha Kagami trembled with anger. Uchiha Nan's curses were truly unbearable. I now suspect you had something to do with Tobirama-sama's death, Uchiha Kagami roared. The Uchiha Non before him had been pretending for so long, his mind far more terrifying than he had imagined. He had deceived him, deceived Senju Tobirama, and deceived the entire Konoha. With such top-secret information about Tobirama-sama's death, Uchiha Non could hardly help but suspect he had something to do with it. Slander. You're slandering me. I'm the captain of the Uchiha Security Department. I shed blood and served Konoha on the battlefield. Uchiha Non was so frightened that he almost screamed. That's not how you put the blame on someone. If he had the ability to pull off such a scheme to kill Senju Tobirama, he would have done it long ago. Why wait so long? Senju Tobirama's fate was Kishimoto's fault, a plot-driven one. Possessing the Flying Thunder God Jutsu, Senju Tobirama is brimming with forbidden techniques. In the ninja world, who could stop him if he tried to escape? Damn it, Uchiha Kagami, a man who looks like a scoundrel, is so wicked, yet he's trying to pin the blame on himself. He must be dealt with. Uchiha Kusunoki decided to strike first. Watch this. Uchiha Kusunoki formed hand seals, and a ninja sword materialized. A flash of azure lightning flashed, and the roar of the blade slicing through the air roared in. Thunderbolt flash, in Uchiha Kusunoki's eyes, 3 Magatama whirled at high speed, a move that required the dynamic vision of the Sharingan. Clang. Lightning flashed with sparks. Uchiha Kagami drew his kunai to block. The ground beneath his feet cracked, and Uchiha Kagami felt a dull pain in his chest. He immediately formed hand seals with one hand. Instantaneous body movement. Uchiha Kagami had no desire to engage in close combat with a swordsman like Uchiha Kusunoki. Trillions of souls had perished at his hands. Quick reflexes, gold. Uchiha Kusunoki had expected this move to at least injure Uchiha Kagami, but that didn't matter. He hadn't expected to kill him instantly. You're definitely not right. Uchiha Kagami's voice was cold. As he gained some distance, his eyes shone with murderous intent. To Kagami, it looked like Uchiha Kagami was intent on silencing him. Fire style, Great Fire Dragon technique. A blazing flame appeared, and a fiery dragon, over 10 meters long, swirled in the air, circling several times before charging towards Uchiha Kagami. Interesting. Uchiha Kagami gripped the hilt of his sword tightly, grinning widely. Then, he pressed his foot forward, and lightning flashed around him, continuously stimulating Uchiha Kagami's cells. With a whoosh, Uchiha Non charged at the fire dragon. A flash of blade light ripped the dragon's body in two, shattering it into pieces and scattering sparks in the air. Die! In a flash, Uchiha Non reached Uchiha Kagami's side, his blade flashing, sending him retreating. Nan's extreme speed and razor-sharp blade strikes pierced Uchiha Kagami's vital points, causing him to cry out in pain. His wounds hadn't healed yet. No, this struggle couldn't continue. While fending off Uchiha Nan's attacks, Kagami formed subtle hand seals. Their Sharingan met. Ninjutsu, body binding. Uchiha Nan's eyes suddenly dimmed. The 3 Magatama in his Sharingan stopped moving. He lowered his raised ninja sword, and stood there in a daze. Huff, huff, huff. Seeing Uchiha Non stop moving, Uchiha Kagami finally gave up and began gasping for air, then coughing up blood. The initial surprise attack had directly injured Uchiha Kagami internally, and it was all thanks to Kagami's ability to hold his breath. Uchiha Nan's swordsmanship was formidable, and Kagami knew he would be killed if he held out for just a few more breaths. Fortunately, he used a Jinjutsu to control Uchiha Non. Now was not the time to rest. His Jinjutsu wouldn't hold Uchiha Non for long. He had to tie him up and hand him over to Uzumaki Miro-sama to clear his name. Thinking this, Kagami ignored the blood he was still coughing up and hurried over to Uchiha Non. Swallow return, Uchiha Non suddenly attacked, his sword flashing, catching Kagami off guard. He took the blow, leaving a hideous wound on his chest, the bone faintly visible, intestines leaking out. You didn't really think I was under a Jinjutsu, did you? I was just teasing you. I've been prepared for that. Uchiha Kagami's teasing voice reached him. In his previous life, Naruto fans had rumored that Uchiha Kagami and Uchiha Shisu were related, and his Jinjutsu skills far surpassed those of the average Uchiha. How could Uchiha Non not be on guard against Jinjutsu? Uchiha Kagami tried to say something, but the pressure was too much. His eyes grew heavy, and he passed out. Uchiha Non approached Uchiha Kagami, pleased with his handiwork. His swordsmanship had improved again. He'd managed to injure Kagami, but not fatally, to prevent him from defecting to Sarutobi Hiruzen's side and causing trouble for him. He couldn't just kill him outright, or slaughter his clan members at will. Uchiha Non wouldn't do such a thing. He still wanted to be the clan leader. Then, a green light appeared on Uchiha Kusu's hand, and he used medical ninjutsu to stop the bleeding on Uchiha Kagami, then bandaged him briefly to ensure he could hold out for a while. The rest was left to the family's medical ninja. The author, Jun, is about to sign a contract, so those who want to invest and earn money can hurry up. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15. You'll support me, right? Amidst the chaos, Uchiha Non kicked away branches scorched by the flames and wiped the blood from his hands with a rag. The blood belonged to Uchiha Kagami, and the rag had been torn from him. It was a bit hard to wipe. Just as he was about to complain, he saw a line of Uchiha clan members standing nearby, clearly drawn in by the noise of the fighting. Seeing this, Non made no attempt to hide his feelings and walked straight towards them, a smile beaming across his face as he greeted them warmly. A ray of sunlight from the rising dawn fell upon Nan's face, his delicate features still appearing somewhat childish. Nan was confident that his smile was now beautiful. Unfortunately, Nan had been so busy wiping the blood from his hands that he had forgotten to wipe his face as well. The blood-stained smile, stained with sunlight, looked particularly strange, leaving the Uchiha present feeling bewildered by Nan's warmth. What kind of good person is laughing like that? Just now, Uchiha Kagami was bewitched by Sarutobi Hiruzen and attacked me, but I discovered him in time and he's been subdued. Uchiha Nan made up an excuse and threw the blame on Uchiha Kagami again. After all, Uchiha Kagami had been blamed so many times, he was used to it. Why, you don't believe it? Uchiha Nan grinned and placed his hand on the ninja sword that was still dripping with blood. Seeing that the Uchiha people in front of him didn't react, he asked in a considerate way. We believe it, we have to believe it. How could we not believe what the captain said? Uchiha Kagami is simply a traitor. The Uchiha people nodded quickly, repeatedly professing their belief, and some even started to curse Uchiha Kagami. Inahoi, Totsuka, you're here too. Inahoi, go carry Uchiha Kagami to the clan's medical ninja. Don't let him die on my doorstep, that's unlucky. Uchiha Nan noticed that the two brothers, Inahori and Totsuka, were also watching the fun, so he simply asked Inahori to take Uchiha Kagami to heal his wounds. Uchiha Nan's medical ninjutsu was mediocre, and if he delayed too long, he was afraid Uchiha Kagami would actually die. Oh, I see. Upon hearing Nan's order, Uchiha Inahori hurried over to Uchiha Kagami, who was not far away. Seeing Uchiha Kagami's injuries, Uchiha Inahori couldn't help but gasp. A large wound was clearly visible on Kagami's abdomen, the long wound crudely stitched shut with fine black thread. The workmanship was truly unsatisfactory, and his intestines were still faintly visible. Fortunately, the bleeding had stopped for the time being. Uchiha Kagami was currently breathing out more than breathing in, and if he didn't get treatment, he would really die here. Unable to resist, Uchiha Inahori swallowed hard, recalling Uchiha Kusunoki's smile. It felt strange, as if he had just met her for the first time. He'd have to be more quiet in front of the captain from now on. If he kept talking nonsense, Uchiha Inahori shuddered, afraid to think about it again. Gently, he lifted Uchiha Kagami with both hands, not wanting to use too much force, fearing he'd bleed. He hurried to the home of the family's medical ninja. The remaining Uchiha looked at Uchiha Kagami's half-dead form, then turned to look at Uchiha Kusunoki, whose familiar smile still clung to his face. Fear. A multitude of emotions mingled in the Uchiha's eyes. They longed to leave, but without Uchiha Kusunoki's permission, they dared not move an inch. Iron Fire. Send someone to tell the clan leader and the elders of the family that I will hold a clan meeting, and all Uchiha ninjas must come. Now that the Hokage of Konoha is dead, Uchiha is about to usher in a new opportunity. Maybe this time Uchiha can produce a Hokage. I think he, as the clan leader, can't grasp this opportunity. It's better to replace him with someone who can. I will lead the Uchiha to create a new era. A Konoha belonging to the Uchiha era will be created. As soon as Uchiha Nan finished speaking, the faces of the Uchiha people changed drastically. They knew what Uchiha Nan meant with their toes. Uchiha Nan wanted to overthrow Uchiha Tomita and become the new clan leader of Uchiha. Strange, too strange. The Uchiha Nan in front of him was completely different from the Uchiha Nan in his impression. His tone was domineering, ambitious, and a typical hawkish style. Uchiha Kusunoki, I support you, an Uchiha shouted enthusiastically. Uchiha Kusunoki remembered him, he'd been on the battlefield with him. His name seemed to be Uchiha Yoda, though they weren't in the same squad. They'd fought side by side. Uchiha Yoda cheered, remembering how Uchiha Kusunoki had charged into the throng alone, his ninja sword wielding a blue light and blood wherever it passed. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and mid-level and low-level ninja were chopped down like melons and vegetables before him. Back then, Uchiha Yoda had idolized Uchiha Kusunoki. A true Uchiha was to be as powerful as Uchiha Kusunoki. Unfortunately, Uchiha Kusunoki hadn't shown much ambition back then, only an air of willingness to risk everything for Konoha, which made Uchiha Yoda feel deeply sorry. Now, Uchiha Yoda was overjoyed. His idol was finally taking the lead. Damn Uchiha Tomita, he didn't even have the guts to become Hokage of Konoha. Uchiha Tomita, who usually maintains the balance between the Uchiha clan and the Hokage, acts like a wimp in front of Uchiha Yoda. A rising star. Uchiha Kusunoki, observing Uchiha Yoda, is filled with admiration. This young man has a future. Before Tobirama Senju, he'd been timid, but now that he's dead, he needs to be ruthless and act hawkish. Captain. I support you too, Uchiha Totsuka hurried over. He was a die-hard Uchiha Kusunoki supporter. His brother's life was saved by Uchiha Kusunoki. Just to repay his gratitude, Uchiha Totsuka would support him. Uchiha Totsuka's mind raced, reflecting on Uchiha Kusunoki's actions yesterday. He'd learned of Tobirama Senju's death before everyone else in Konoha, yet reacted so quickly, ignoring clan leader Tomida's orders. It's hard not to speculate. The captain's past appearance is becoming increasingly unfamiliar. Could it be that the captain's previous appearance was all an act? The captain has been a hawk since childhood? Uchiha Totsuka gasped. How could someone wear a mask from childhood to this day? Is that still human? Uchiha Totsuka thought his speculation was too far-fetched, but his intuition told him that the current Uchiha non was the real one. Captain, I support you too. Another Uchiha stood up, one who had fought alongside Uchiha non. 3 or 2 Uchiha took the lead, and the rest followed suit. That's how people are, and the Uchiha are no exception. Besides, having Uchiha non become the clan leader wasn't something he couldn't accept. He had powerful martial arts, outstanding achievements, and a handsome face. He had it all. Chapter 16 Uchiha Tomita. I can leave on my own initiative, but I can't be driven away. Uchiha Kusunoki stood there, his smile growing wider, thoroughly enjoying the cheers. Totsuka, the clan meeting will begin tomorrow afternoon, at the usual location, Nanga Shrine. Yes, Uchiha Kusunoki nodded, agreeing. Then, with a wave of his hand, Uchiha Kusunoki dismissed the group. In just one morning, Uchiha Kusunoki's actions had caused a huge uproar within the Uchiha clan, the shockwaves threatening to overshadow the news of Tobirama's death. Uchiha Kusunoki was determined to overthrow clan leader Uchiha Tomita and take his place. With one big news after another, the Uchiha clan hadn't enjoyed such a feast in ages. It was truly enjoyable. At that moment, in Uchiha Tomita's home, the spacious and bright living room now seemed a bit cramped. A dozen or so Uchiha clan members stared intently at Uchiha Tomita, who sat in a stately manner. Uchiha Tomita's wife, Uchiha Maya, carried a tea tray, busily pouring water for the Uchiha present. The usual snacks for meetings were running low, leaving Maya feeling a bit overwhelmed. With so many people arriving at once, she was completely unprepared. However, the Uchiha present were in no mood to enjoy tea and snacks. As Tomita's loyalists, they were bewildered by the events of the past 2 days in Konoha. First, Senju Tobirama was murdered during negotiations. Before they could fully digest this horrific news, the clan's prodigy, Uchiha Kusunoki, broke with everyone's impression and directly attacked the Uchiha clan leader. It was rumored that he had even spread the news of Tobirama's death. Uchiha Kusunoki was so familiar to the others that if he hadn't activated a unique Uchiha Sharingan, claiming he was from the Senju clan would have been perfectly acceptable. Uchiha Tomita puffed on his pipe, trying to ease his anxiety. Not to mention his subordinates were confused, he was also confused. In just 2 days, the situation changed as fast as it had been over a decade. Uchiha Tomita felt that he was getting old and could not keep up with the times. 2 days ago, Uchiha Tomita was still thinking about waiting for Senju Tobirama to sign a peace agreement and then asking for more compensation from Tobirama. In order to fight this war, all the ninjas trained in the family were mobilized to the battlefield. The value of shurikens, kunai and other weapons provided to Konoha by the family's weapons industry was astronomical. There were countless military pills. It was all money. Ninjas put their heads on the belt to make a living, isn't it all for money? There were so many different kinds of compensation, and Tobirama was still dragging it out. All of this was bound to lead to a heated argument. Bang, and now it was all gone. Tobirama was dead. He died suddenly, without any preparation. Uchiha Kusunoki, the guard captain he had promoted, had gone mad for some reason. He'd changed his usual ways and even attempted to overthrow him and become the head of the Uchiha clan. Soon, the living room of Uchiha Tomita's residence was filled with smoke. Half of the Uchiha present were heavy smokers, and they'd originally planned to hold back at the clan leader's house and smoke outside. Now that the clan leader had taken the lead, they decided to join in. Smack, slurp. An Uchiha blew out a smoke ring. Seeing Uchiha Tomita still smoking, he became increasingly impatient and wanted to say something. Clan leader, what should we do about the clan meeting tomorrow afternoon? One person spoke. And the others quickly followed suit. Yes, Clan leader? That Uchiha Kusunoki guy must have been planning this for a long time. He was the first to learn of Tobirama-sama's death. Uchiha Tomita recalled Uchiha Kusunoki's past behavior, which was completely different from the present. A wily old man, having served as clan leader for over a decade, he had become incredibly adept at understanding people's hearts. He hadn't seen through Uchiha before. Disguise. Someone could actually disguise themselves for so long? The youth truly was formidable. It wasn't until Tobirama's death that his true identity was revealed. Uchiha had long dreamed of becoming Hokage. Uchiha Tomita admired him inwardly. He was a true genius, his character and strength at the top of the Uchiha clan. Right now, the Uchiha clan was truly closest to the Hokage position, but Tomita simply couldn't fathom it. What was Uchiha strength? Honestly, Uchiha was incredibly powerful. He had easily defeated Uchiha Kagami this morning. There were probably few within the Uchiha clan who were stronger than him. Even if you were to face Uchiha, he wouldn't be sure of victory. Perhaps in terms of combat prowess, Uchiha was already the best in the Uchiha clan. But was becoming clan leader solely based on combat prowess? Really thinking he'd been the clan leader for all these years in vain, Uchiha Tomita quickly scanned the Uchiha in the room. Almost all of them had activated their triple Magatama Sharingan, while Uchiha Jonin. This elite team, led by him, could even slay Senju Tobirama, but the price he'd pay was unacceptable to the Uchiha. What good was fighting? To get ahead, you needed power and connections. He really thought Tobirama's death would make him a piece of cake. Without the main Decay Sharingan, the fundamental differences between the Uchiha wouldn't exist. Okay, stop complaining. Uchiha is a genius within the clan. Fresh off the battlefield, it's natural for him to be arrogant. We're all family. I was chosen as the clan leader by everyone after Madara-sama left Konoha, since Uchiha believes he's more suitable for the position and has even requested a clan meeting. Let's discuss it at the meeting so the Uchiha clan can see who is more suitable for the position. Uchiha Tomita interrupted the discussion, speaking calmly, but the chill in his tone was palpable to the Uchiha present. Uchiha was in big trouble this time. Clan leader, you know me. I'll definitely support you. Me too. That brat Uchiha is so arrogant. He has no idea how much the clan leader has sacrificed for the clan over the years. We must make Uchiha pay. For a moment, the Uchiha clan collectively pledged their loyalty to Uchiha Tomita. Well, no matter what, Uchiha Kusunoki is the genius of the family and a meritorious official of Konoha. He is just young and frivolous. When you guys are the same age as Uchiha Kusunoki and are as strong as him, you might be even more arrogant than him. Uchiha Tomita interrupted them and made up his mind about his attitude towards Uchiha Kusunoki. He was still tolerant towards Uchiha Kusunoki. Geniuses will be tolerated everywhere. When he is older and Fugaku is older, when Fugaku can no longer bear the responsibility of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Kusunoki would be a good choice. But it is not possible now. He can voluntarily abdicate the position of clan leader. And he will never tolerate anyone driving him out. Please add to favorites, recommend, vote, monthly ticket, and follow-up comments. Chapter 17, Against Me? Take my Rasen Shuriken. Today's clan meeting outside Nanga Shrine wasn't held in the small room inside Nanga Shrine, as it simply wouldn't accommodate all the attendees. While usual attendees were typically those with a Sharingan, this time, all Uchiha ninjas were invited to attend, even rookies and still on D-rank missions. The last time such a grand spectacle took place was when Uchiha Madara resolved to reconcile with the Senju clan and jointly establish Konoha village. This sudden development left every Uchiha present feeling a complex mix of emotions. Today's clan meeting might determine the fate of the Uchiha clan for decades to come. Here he comes. Uchiha is here, a sudden voice echoed from the crowd, causing the previously noisy group to fall silent and turn their gazes in Uchiha direction. The crowd, gathered around him, parted to make way for him to step to the front. Uchiha felt the gazes of the crowd, but he didn't feel any discomfort. He walked straight forward with his signature smile on his face. Uchiha Tomita, standing at the highest point, stood with his hands behind his back, watching Uchiha step up to the podium. Clan leader, I think you are already clear about the purpose of my clan meeting today. You and Senju Tobirama are remnants of the old era. The new era has no ship that can carry you. The new era needs young people like me to lead the Uchiha. You should step down. Uchiha went straight to the point and simply stated his purpose. There was no dragging his feet, not even the simplest greetings. Confident, arrogant, and domineering. The Uchiha present all felt the change in Uchiha non today. He was completely different from the past, and they were all stunned. What a courage, the Uchiha clan is lucky to have a young man like you, Uchiha Tomita praised, but then changed the subject, his tone taking on a chilling chill. But don't you think you're being too arrogant? Do you really think that just because Tobirama Senju is dead, you can run rampant in Uchiha, or even Konoha? Uchiha Tomita spoke with a powerful voice, his 3 Magatama Sharingan displayed. He fixed his gaze on Uchiha non, unleashing a powerful chakra burst. The wood beneath his feet shattered, threatening to explode. Uchiha Nan's expression remained unchanged, even this was not enough to deter him. Today, you want to become the head of the Uchiha clan. Do you think you are worthy of it? Uchiha Tomita pointed at the Uchiha present, and his supporters immediately understood his intention. Only clan leader Tomita can lead the Uchiha clan, you brat, how arrogant, you're not worthy. In an instant, sighs erupted, echoing throughout the remaining Uchiha clan. The voices of Uchiha Inayana, Uchiha Totsuka, and their supporters were drowned out by the wave of opposition. A tsunami of opposition echoed throughout the Nanga shrine. Uchiha Tomita's face was smug. After more than a decade of hard work within the Uchiha clan, he had long since earned undisputed prestige. He was no incompetent clan leader. He rose to become clan leader after Uchiha Madara's departure, and he led the Uchiha clan to further prosperity. This was not something Uchiha non could easily shake. Uchiha non turned to look at the source of the initial voices. Over a dozen 3 Magatama Uchiha clan members were gazing at him with eager eyes, like wolves catching their prey. Humph! You're all against me, right? Then forget it. Flip the table. Melting style Risen Shuriken, Uchiha non snorted coldly, instantly conjuring a single molten Risen Shuriken with his hand. The power was perfectly controlled, enough to teach the dozen or so Uchiha a lesson while also shutting everyone up. They'd all been yelling so loudly, they needed a lesson. Uchiha non glanced at the group of Uchiha and launched without hesitation. Damn, lunatics, run, we can't retreat, our clansmen are still here, where are the barrier ninjas? Follow them. The dozen or so 3 Magatama Uchiha were on edge. They sensed a deadly threat from the shuriken, but they had to withstand it. If it exploded, the younger Uchiha present would undoubtedly suffer heavy casualties. Water style, water formation wall, earth style, earth flow wall, ninjutsu, 4-directional barrier, various defensive ninjutsu were unleashed, including one skilled in sealing barriers, who barely managed to intercept the molten Rasen Shuriken. With a resounding boom, a heat wave rippled through every Uchiha present. The weaker ones were knocked flat on their backs, though fortunately, there were no casualties, only minor injuries. Every Uchiha was grimacing, their faces horrified. How could attending a clan gathering put their lives in such danger? Asshole, you're a lunatic, Uchiha Tomita's eyes blazed, the 3 Magatama in his Sharingan spinning wildly. How dare Uchiha Kusunoki use such a dangerous ninjutsu in such a situation? He couldn't be spared. Uchiha Tomita was about to attack when Uchiha Kusunoki gathered a molten release Rasen Shuriken in his hand. Uchiha Tomita immediately stopped, glaring at Uchiha Kusunoki with murderous intent. Calm down now? Are you still going to scream? Uchiha Kusunoki, weapon in hand, with a fearless expression, gazed at the Uchiha in the audience. They lowered their heads, their anger dauntless. Especially the dozen or so Uchiha clan members from earlier. Their clothes were tattered, their hair singed, and they were all wounded. They glared at Uchiha non with murderous intent, but none dared to move. They feared another Uchiha non attack. They couldn't dodge, they had to take it head-on. If they did, the surrounding clansmen would be in trouble. They weren't even as crazy as Uchiha non. Uchiha non was even more Uchiha than the Uchiha. Melting release? How do you know that? Uchiha Tomita's eyes were solemn. Only now did he realize that the jutsu Uchiha non had performed was actually melting release. Where did the Uchiha get this bloody boundary? Of course, this was something Uchiha non had drawn from the wheel, a uniquely lucky orange reward. He had kept it secret until today, only to use it publicly. Everyone else who had seen it was already dead. In response to Uchiha Tomita's question, Uchiha non simply rolled his eyes. How could I tell you my most private secret? HMPH, is that your trump card? I'm telling you, your actions have seriously violated clan rules. Even killing you is perfectly justified, it's not too late to turn back now. I can spare your life. Surrender, but do you really want to sever your ties with the Uchiha clan? Uchiha Tomita spoke gravely, not daring to push too far. fearing that Uchiha Non would become furious and unleash his previous jutsu. Uchiha Non was truly inherently evil. Chapter 18 The Power of God. Uchiha Kusunoki scoffed, the molten release Rasenshuriken in his hand dissipating. He addressed Uchiha Tomita, melted release, a trump card. I think you're mistaken. It's just a little trick to silence them, he said dismissively, glancing at the bewildered Uchiha clan. Uchiha Tomita's heart sank, a sense of foreboding washed over him. The entire clan had been out of control from the moment. What was Uchiha Kusunoki going to do now? Did he have another trump card? My real trump card is this, Mangekyo Sharingan Experience Volume 1. An immensely powerful Mangekyo Sharingan power emerged from Uchiha Kusunoki's eyes. Cold, evil, chaotic, a wave of negative emotions surged through Uchiha Kusunoki's mind, giving him the urge to destroy everything before him. No wonder Uchiha who activated a Mangekyo Sharingan were all madmen. It was only natural that they would go insane after enduring such a power. But then a coolness dispelled all this, and the power of the wheel took effect. Hoha, this is the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan, it's truly intoxicating. With the help of the turntable, Uchiha Non had perfectly mastered this borrowed strength. Now, he understood why Uchiha Sasuke, who had just awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan, had been so bold as to bravely storm the 5-cage summit alone. Now, Uchiha Non felt like he could defeat 10 of his own. The sudden explosion of power was mind-boggling. Now, if Uchiha Non were asked to fight Senju Tobirama, he wouldn't even frown. The power of the Mangekyo Sharingan far exceeded his imagination. He and the 3 Magatama Uchiha ninja were already 2 different creatures. Uchiha Non laughed unbridled on the stage, unconcerned that Uchiha Tomita might sneak up on him at this moment. Impossible, impossible, this level of power, the Mangekyo Sharingan, you've opened the Mangekyo Sharingan, Uchiha Tomita cried out. The Mangekyo Sharingan, those were the eyes he'd pursued his entire life, the eyes the entire Uchiha clan yearned for. Susanoo, the power that could blot out the sun and sky, the power that could split mountains and seas with a single sword strike. The power wielded by Uchiha Madara-sama. Today, it had reappeared. Ha, heaven has mercy, the Mangekyo Sharingan has appeared, the divine power of the Uchiha clan, the future of Konoha belongs to the Uchiha clan. The Uchiha elders, who had been watching the spectacle, now erupted in hysterical outcry. Just moments earlier, startled by Uchiha Nan's molten release Rasenshuriken, they sensed the Mangekyo pupil power emanating from him. The power they were so familiar with, the power that had once appeared in Uchiha Madara, reappeared once more. No one knew better than them the terrifying power of the Mangekyo Sharingan. Uchiha Kusunoki would be the future head of the Uchiha clan. No one could stop him. Anyone who dared oppose would be killed. The Uchiha elders instantly recognized Uchiha Kusunoki as the future head. Only he could lead the Uchiha clan back to the days of Uchiha Madara-sama. Remember, there was no Hashirama Senju anymore in Konoha. With Tobirama Senju dead, who could withstand the divine power of the Uchiha clan? Clan leader Uchiha Tomita, do you understand my trump card now? The Sharingan in Uchiha Kusunoki's eyes was no longer a Magatama, but a hexagram. This time, the trial coupon granted Sasuke Uchiha's Mangekyo Sharingan. A 10-meter-tall Susanoo phantom appeared. Uchiha Kusunoki briefly activated the power of his Mangekyo Sharingan, his gaze blazing at Uchiha Tomita. Uchiha Tomita was speechless, his eyes filled with horror and envy. Why couldn't he have those eyes he'd always dreamed of? Uchiha Kusunoki, he's the Uchiha clan leader, he's the future, the elders roared, pointing at the phantom of Susanoo behind Uchiha Kusunoki. That's it. Susanoo, the unrivaled power of the Uchiha Kusunoki, Uchiha Kusunoki, a thunderous roar echoed, even more fervent than before. The Uchiha clan went wild. The power of the Mangekyo Sharingan had made them forget Uchiha Kusunoki's minor mistake. Wasn't it natural for such a powerful man to be a little arrogant? Daring to challenge the authority of the powerful meant death, wasn't it? He who survived was grateful for Uchiha Kusunoki's mercy. In just a few seconds, the Uchiha clan had completely transformed themselves, becoming Uchiha Kusunoki's supporters. Quiet, as soon as Uchiha Non finished speaking, the roaring sound instantly disappeared, and everyone looked at him like pilgrims. Even the dozen or so Uchiha clan members who had just been attacked had pious expressions on their faces. They admitted defeat and were completely convinced. Uchiha Tomita, I'm giving you a chance now, a chance to challenge me. If you win, the position of clan leader will still be yours, Uchiha Nan decided to kill and destroy his heart. He had to show off a big thing today. The experience coupons he had saved for so long and was reluctant to use would be a waste if he didn't use them to show off. Uchiha Tomita didn't dare to say a word. What kind of fight was this? There was no way he could win. The power of Uchiha Nan's eyes alone was enough to put a lot of pressure on Uchiha Tomita. Do you want to lose in disgrace without a fight, or do you want to be a true Uchiha and challenge me bravely? It's not shameful to lose. Uchiha Nan looked at Uchiha Tomita's indecisive look and quickly added fuel to the fire, provoking Uchiha Tomita, otherwise Uchiha Tomita would really kneel down. Uchiha Tomita understood in an instant that Uchiha Nan wanted to kill a chicken to scare the monkey, and now the chicken was him, Uchiha Tomita. Now he didn't even have the chance to retreat. Uchiha Nan's words had forced Uchiha Tomita into a corner. It was not shameful to be driven down from the position of clan leader by Uchiha Nan. After all, Uchiha Nan was an Uchiha who opened the main Decay Sharingan. But if he didn't even have the courage to fight, how could he be qualified to be a proud Uchiha? The worst that could happen was death. Uchiha Tomita wasn't afraid of death, and he absolutely didn't believe Uchiha Kusunoki would kill him. Having disguised himself for 16 years and even unlocked his main Decay Sharingan, Uchiha Kusunoki wouldn't be so foolish. He still needed to completely control the Uchiha clan. Then let's fight. Uchiha Tomita regained the aura of a clan leader, looking at him with a resolute expression. Hearing Uchiha Tomita's words, Uchiha Kusunoki smiled, a smile of satisfaction. He was determined to force his way through today. Chapter 19 Respect me as God. Scatter, scatter, you little brats, are you courting death by getting so close to a fight of this magnitude? Get out of here. Stay at least 200 meters away, the Uchiha elders shouted frantically, dispersing those who wanted to watch the clash from close up. The new generation of Uchiha were particularly curious about the power of the legendary main Decay Sharingan. The elders, who had survived the eras of Uchiha Madara and Senju Tobirama, deftly moved away from the center of the battlefield. If the area weren't too small, they would have preferred to retreat further away. Even 200 meters away carried the risk of accidental injury. Soon, the Uchiha had cleared a section of the field, leaving only Uchiha Kusunoki and Uchiha Tomita. Let us begin, Uchiha Kusunoki said, and the purple Susanoo phantom gradually solidified, first with arms, then ribs, then a torso, before a massive half-skeletal frame enveloped Uchiha Kusunoki. As Uchiha Kusunoki continued to exert force, flesh and blood enveloped the skeleton, reaching a height of over 50 meters. Keep going, Uchiha Nan shouted. He could sense that the potential of his main Decay Sharingan had yet to be fully tapped. Within moments, his flesh and blood had been covered in armor, and his height had skyrocketed to over 70 meters. It seemed he had reached his limit. Uchiha Nan felt a dull pain in his eyes. The main Decay Sharingan had reached its limit. Uchiha Madara was over 100 meters tall, and on his head was a crystal-like, fully formed Susanoo. It seemed only the eternal main Decay Sharingan could summon it. However, reaching this level should be enough to deal with Uchiha Tomita. Uchiha Nan waved his hand, and a dark yellow ninja sword emerged from the Susanoo's hand. It was composed entirely of magma, the power of the molten release technique. Uchiha Nan attacked with his full combat power. I never thought I'd see such power in my lifetime. God bless me, Uchiha. I wonder who in Konoha can stand against an Uchiha? Ha. A purple Susanoo giant stood there. Even at a distance of 200 meters, the immense chakra emanating from the Susanoo still made one's heart palpitate. This power was simply beyond human control. It was the power of a god. The watching Uchiha elders were once again overcome with ecstasy, tears welling in their eyes as they roared with excitement. The younger generation of Uchiha stared intently at Uchiha Kusunoki's Susanoo, their eyes filled with awe, envy, and longing. Say? What young person doesn't want to drive a Gundam? Uchiha Tomita stared at the towering giant that appeared in a matter of seconds, standing before him. A sense of insignificance filled his mind. He regretted agreeing to duel with Uchiha Kusunoki. I'm going to fight this monster? You must be kidding. Standing at his feet, Uchiha Tomita, tilting his head, could barely see Uchiha Kusunoki's figure. All he could see was the mighty form of Susanoo. Are you ready, Tomita? Uchiha Kusunoki looked down at Uchiha Tomita, who looked as tiny as an ant. No wonder Uchiha Madara only looked at Hashirama Thousand Hands. With such power, who would care about the opinions of ordinary people? Wouldn't it be better to just surrender? However, Uchiha Kusunoki still kindly asked Uchiha Tomita if he was ready for the duel. "We can begin," Uchiha Tomita answered with a stiff upper lip, his hands tightly gripping his ninja katana, his palms sweating. Rushing forward. Testing the waters. Uchiha Tomita rushed to Uchiha Kusunoki's Susanoo and slashed with his katana. Dang! A gap appeared on Uchiha Tomita's battle-hardened katana, while Uchiha Kusunoki's Susanoo remained unscathed. What a formidable defense! Uchiha Tomita looked at his sword with a pained look. Made of top-grade iron, infused with priceless chakra-transmitting minerals, it couldn't even penetrate Uchiha Nan's defenses. "It's a little itchy." Uchiha Nan didn't feel any pain, but rather a slight itch. Fire style, great fire extinguishing. Uchiha Tomita quickly formed hand seals with his hands, gathering chakra in his mouth. In an instant, a sea of fire appeared, hurtling towards Uchiha Nan. This move was quite interesting. Uchiha Nan smiled, acknowledging Uchiha Tomita's prowess. Without the water style of 3 or 5 Jinin, there was no way to stop the sea of fire, they would simply be consumed by it. However, all this was no match for Uchiha Nan. Uchiha Nan swung his sword, slashing with a single blow that instantly shattered the flames. The powerful attack soared into the sky, traveling 1,000 meters, scattering the passing clouds, its residual force creating a massive hole in the sky. At the same time, an alarm went off throughout Konoha. The massive defensive barrier that had been erected around Konoha was destroyed by Uchiha Kusunoki's single strike. Enemy attack, village alert, security squad, impose martial law throughout the village, evacuate the villagers, and the remaining personnel go inform the various clans of Konoha. "I'll go find Uzumaki Miro-sama," the Konoha Anbu chief barked out orders. The enemy had already reached their doorstep. Konoha's defensive barrier had been destroyed. Chaos ensued, and the entire Konoha community was urgently evacuated, fleeing into Konoha's designated underground tunnels as planned. Of course, Uchiha Kusunoki remained oblivious to this, still absorbed in his duel game with Uchiha Tomita. "So powerful, I can't win." Uchiha Tomita stared up at the sky in horror. Was this truly a human attack? The great fire extinguishing technique he had just used was his most proficient and powerful fire release technique, and it was easily deflected by Uchiha Kusunoki. His attacks were no match for Uchiha Nan's defense. If he stood there motionless, even his fire jutsu wouldn't be able to harm him. "Uchiha Nan-sama, I surrender," Uchiha Tomita conceded. There was no point in continuing the fight. The only way to defeat Uchiha Nan was to pile up lives. He had to unleash a variety of ninjutsu, accompanied by barrier seals, constantly draining him until Uchiha Nan's chakra and eye power were completely depleted, and only then would he have a chance of victory. "Uchiha Nan-sama, please relinquish your powers." Hearing Uchiha Tomita's surrender, Uchiha Nan felt a bit unsatisfied. He surrendered so quickly, he hadn't had enough fun yet. But he still released his Susanoo, preparing to reap the fruits of his victory. After releasing his Susanoo, Uchiha Nan felt his body instantly drained, his strength failing him. Using power far beyond his limits came at a price. Having just activated the main Decay Sharingan, being able to use eye techniques quickly is a blessing. The power of Susanoo requires at least some familiarization before you can master it. Forcing it will only lead to blindness. However, Uchiha Nan didn't care. It was just a trial coupon, after all. This show-off was worth it. Now the entire Uchiha clan will worship me like a god. Chapter 20 Uzumaki Mido, there is a change of plan. Hiruzen, you go explore the way first. At Nanga Shrine, Uchiha Tomita looked at Uchiha Kusunoki before him and sighed helplessly. He had never dreamed of such an ending. He had truly been ousted by Uchiha Kusunoki. But such an ending was not unacceptable. Uchiha Kusunoki possessed the main Decay Sharingan, and the future of the Uchiha clan was bright. Clan leader, Uchiha Tomita half-knelt before Uchiha Kusunoki and pulled out a Magatama carved from jade from his bosom. It was the talisman of the Uchiha clan leader, passed down through the generations of the Uchiha clan. When Uchiha Madara fled Konoha, he didn't take it with him, only the Uchiha fan. "I will lead the Uchiha clan to a brighter future." Uchiha Kusunoki accepted the token and promised Uchiha Tomita. No matter how bad the future was, it couldn't be worse than the original story, where the Uchiha clan was slaughtered by the filial son Uchiha Itachi, leaving only 2 or 3 members. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Uchiha Nan was just about to accept the worship of the Uchiha people when he saw an Anbu ninja wearing a fox mask, shouting anxiously. "Lord Tomita, Konoha's defensive barrier has been destroyed, and the enemy has broken into Konoha. The Anbu ninja looked at Uchiha Tomita half kneeling in front of Uchiha Non, and the shouting gradually became smaller. What kind of play is this? The Uchiha clan leader kneeling in front of so many people. As soon as the Anbu ninja came in, Uchiha Tomita stood up and said, I am no longer the clan leader of the Uchiha clan. The current clan leader of the Uchiha clan is Lord Uchiha Non. The fox-masked ninja was stunned when he heard this, and looked at Uchiha Non. He had not yet digested this shocking news and for a moment forgot his mission. After several seconds, he recovered from his daze and asked Uchiha Non to lead the Uchiha clan to defend Konoha. What enemy attack? Uchiha Kusunoki was a bit confused, then he remembered that the previous attack seemed to have shattered something. He figured it must be Konoha's defensive barrier. Release the alert. Konoha's defensive barrier was destroyed by the residual force of my casual attack. Huh? Was that what people said? Did they really think Konoha's defensive barrier was some piece of junk? It was the combined efforts of Sealing Master Uzumaki Mito and Scientific Master Senju Tobirama. According to experiments, it required the combined ninjutsu of more than a dozen Junin to shatter it, or perhaps it was attacked by an S-level forbidden technique. A casual attack, and residual force? The fox-masked ninja didn't argue. After receiving Uchiha Kusunoki's affirmative response, he returned to report. The man before him was the new head of the Uchiha clan. What good would it do to offend him? Especially since he was in the Uchiha clan's stronghold, he had to keep a low profile. Soon, the fox-masked ninja had reported the truth, and the misunderstanding caused by Uchiha Kusunoki was quickly resolved. But the aftermath was far from over. Uchiha Kusunoki's casual strike had caused such a commotion that the Senju, Hyuga, Ino Shikacho, and other esoteric clans, as well as many smaller ninja clans, were already armed and ready for a desperate fight. What kind of enemy could have so quietly reached Konoha's doorstep and so easily shattered its defensive barriers? Considering the news of the death of the second Hokage, Senju Tobirama, Konoha was in dire straits. The various clans, upon hearing the news, mobilized their respective strengths. It wasn't long before the intelligence the Uchiha clan had gathered that afternoon reached the heads of the major clans. The shock of learning the truth was no different from the shock of Konoha being attacked on its doorstep. The fact that the head of the Uchiha clan had changed from Uchiha Tomita to Uchiha Kusunoki wasn't a big deal. The key was that Uchiha Kusunoki had activated his main Decay Sharingan. Some of the clan leaders had lived through Konoha's founding and witnessed firsthand Hashirama Senju's wood release and Uchiha Madara Uchiha's Susanoo. They had witnessed the two majestic giants clashing fiercely, their casual blows shaking the earth. They had witnessed such scenes more than once. It was a war between gods. The fear they once held, once dominated by Uchiha Madara's Susanoo, was returning. The Uchiha clan had already produced a second Madara, but the Senju clan had yet to produce a second Hashirama. Konoha was about to change. Uzumaki Miro scrutinized the intelligence in her hands, her face wrinkled. When had such a figure appeared in the Uchiha clan? Uchiha Kusunoki's identity, missions he had carried out, battles he had experienced, his specialized ninjutsu, and so on. All sorts of information were laid out before her. The more she read, the more horrified she became. Uchiha Kusunoki's life could be divided into two parts, separated by the death of Tobirama Senju. When Senju Tobirama was alive, he was a perfect successor to the Will of Fire. His record even includes a comment from Senju Tobirama, Uchiha Kusunoki, an Uchiha outlier, transcending the boundaries of the clan and dedicating himself to the village, worthy of special training. This was Senju Tobirama's personal endorsement. But after Senju Tobirama's death, Uchiha Kusunoki's demeanor changed drastically. According to intelligence, to intimidate his fellow clan members, he unleashed a powerful ninjutsu into the crowd. It was pure madness. However, since Uchiha Kusunoki had awakened his main Decay Sharingan, such behavior is understandable. But when did Uchiha Kusunoki's transformation begin? If it happened before Senju Tobirama's death, it would be truly terrifying. An Uchiha who had already awakened his main Decay Sharingan, pretending to be the heir of the Will of Fire, deceived Senju Tobirama, only revealing his true nature after his death. This kind of mentality, combined with his strength, makes him even more terrifying than Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara was formidable, but even if he understood certain things, he wouldn't do them, nor would he bother to do them. He believed in the principle of single-handedly conquering all obstacles. Anyone who disagreed would stand up and be defeated. Uchiha Kusunoki, however, was different. He was patient and knew when to strike, just as now, with Tobirama dead, and he had emerged. Uzumaki Miro couldn't believe it. Such coincidences were truly terrifying. This child must not be allowed to stay. Now that Uchiha Kusunoki was so eager to dethrone Uchiha Tomita and become the head of the Uchiha clan, Mito could easily guess his next goal, the third Hokage of Konoha. Who could stop Uchiha Kusunoki? Sarutobi Hiruzen? Uzumaki Mito instinctively eliminated the wrong option. His own son, Momoka? Probably not either. Momoka hadn't inherited his father, Hoshirama Senju's wood-release technique. Perhaps only he could, drawing on the Nine Tails power, suppress Uchiha Kusunoki. However, before that, we can let Sarutobi Hiruzen explore the way first. After all, he has Tobirama's will. Since Tobirama chose him, he must have some extraordinary qualities that I haven't seen. Looking forward to the monthly vote. Chapter 21, Old Stories of the Stone Tablet. At night, Uchiha Non returned to his quarters, his exhausted body resting on the soft mattress, his body and soul healed. Manji, right there, harder, don't show me mercy. Manji was diligently massaging Uchiha Non. He found a right acupressure point and began to attack fiercely, his technique expert. The soft cat meat caressed Uchiha Non's body, easing his tense muscles. It was a supreme pleasure. And the price was quite good, just a bottle of cat grass. In a daze, Uchiha Non reflected on his actions that day. After Uchiha Non received the Magatama and became the clan leader, the Uchiha elders eagerly held a grand inauguration ceremony for him, fearing that he would suddenly regret not becoming the clan leader. The venue was, of course, the Naga Shrine, but the small room inside was packed with people. In the end, there was no room, so some had to stand outside to watch the ceremony. The succession process was certainly somewhat tedious, but that didn't matter, he was already here. The only thing that concerned Uchiha Kusunoki was the stone tablet. The stone tablet had tricked Uchiha Madara into submission. Although Uchiha Kusunoki already knew the truth, the Moon Eye project was a backdoor listing pyramid scheme, using Uchiha Madara's body to resurrect Kaguya Otsutsuki. He still wanted to see what the little black man, Black Zetsu, had in mind. A beautiful goddess was born on this continent, the goddess of the Ono. Before the goddess's appearance, the continent was ravaged by war, with countless people dying daily in various conflicts. Unable to bear the suffering of the people, the kind-hearted goddess used her wisdom and power to create a great nation. Lasting peace arrived, and the goddess gave birth to two sons, named Haguramo and Hamura. I, Otsutsuki Haguramo, am her son, and people of the time called me the Sage of the Six Paths. But the good times didn't last. The perfect nation Mother created couldn't bring lasting peace, and even lasting peace couldn't prevent the rise of ambitious individuals, and war once again engulfed the continent. Mother once again stepped forward, wielding unparalleled power to swiftly quell the war and punish the culprits. Peace reignited for a time, but the continent continued to fall back into its old ways. Mother then pondered how to bring true peace to the ninja world. Soon, she devised an unprecedented ninjutsu, but tragically, she disappeared before she could even perform it. I inherited my mother's legacy, hoping to bring eternal peace to the ninja world. However, I chose not to follow her methods, believing them to be too extreme. I traveled the entire continent, harnessing the power she inherited. While wielding the demons and monsters that roamed the land, I pondered how to bring peace to the ninja world. Through long practice, I discovered that my mother's power could be condensed into a chakra seed, which could be passed on to others. Those who possessed the chakra seed resonated with each other, instantly understanding each other through their chakra. I believed that tolerance and love could bring understanding. When people could understand each other, peace would prevail. Having overcome the only obstacle, I hoped for eternal peace. But I was wrong, utterly wrong. Those who possessed chakra gradually gained powers beyond those of ordinary people. They used chakra to create ninjutsu, sparking wars on a scale far greater than ever before. The war raged for a long time. Learning from my mistakes, I began to study my mother's path, and eventually, following her lead, I created a ninjutsu that could encompass the entire ninja world, a jutsu that could bring eternal peace. Unfortunately, time is running out for me. I'm already aging and no longer have the strength to perform this jutsu. I can only hope for future generations. The conditions required to activate this jutsu are, the following words were blurred, requiring the power of the eternal Mangekyou Sharingan to read clearly. To be fair, Black Zetsu's story is brilliantly crafted. After the pain of war, Uchiha Madara, through his own and Hashirame's powerful military force, ultimately brought a brief peace to the ninja world. However, undercurrents and friction persisted. With the death of Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, the ninja world would plunge back into war. Furthermore, Hashirama has unified the various ninja clans into a single village. Future wars will be even more brutal than those of the Warring States period. In the past, wars were fought by clans, but now they are fought by villages, and the intensity of these wars is far greater. Uchiha Madara understood this all too well, and his emotional journey bore a striking resemblance to that of the goddess of the rabbit and the sage of six paths, who lived thousands of years before. Hashirama Senju's tactics were completely unsuccessful. Uchiha Madara fled Konoha in despair, determined to pursue the path of the six paths sage. Pitiful, pitiful. What was Uchiha Madara doing at this moment? Perhaps he was languishing in some dark underground, constantly trying to open his Rinnegan. Uchiha non mourned for him for 3 seconds. Black Zetsu's tactics were a direct hit on his G-spot. Any Uchiha who had opened the eternal Mangekyou Sharingan had undoubtedly experienced immense darkness and felt disillusion with the world. The Moon Eye project was undoubtedly a guiding light, leading Uchiha Madara straight into a trap. But none of this could fool me. Uchiha Non felt a surge of pride, unable to resist imagining what it would be like if he were to one day find luck and win a chakra fruit. Seeing Black Zetsu, he immediately became his father. Thinking of Kaguya Otsutsuki's cool personality, fair skin, and horns on her head, how convenient it would be to use them? Just thinking about that feeling makes me sigh. Uchiha Kusunoki's body numbed by Manji's massage, his mind swirling with thoughts of inappropriate content, he drifted off to sleep. Uchiha Kusunoki slept soundly, but across Konoha, the Hyuga clan leader's room was still brightly lit. Hinata Takuma, anxious, couldn't sleep. He was truly panicking. The death of Hokage Senju Tobirama had been confirmed. The 6 members of the group, Nin Kaharu, Mito Katoen, Akimichi Tofu, and Shimura Danzo, were rounded up as soon as they returned home, their intelligence already largely gleaned from their families. Hinata Takuma naturally gathered all this information with ease. But before one thing subsided, another crisis arose. The Uchiha clan was in trouble again. Quietly, the head of the Uchiha clan was replaced. The current head, Uchiha Kusunoki, awakened the legendary Mangekyou Sharingan. The power of the great demon Uchiha Madara reappeared in Konoha. Hinata Takuma felt that Konoha was like a powder keg, ready to explode at the slightest spark, blasting the entire Hyuga clan into the air. Crisis also brings opportunity. And Hinata Takuma refused to follow the crowd and wait for death? How's Mito-sama? Last time I visited, she said she wasn't feeling well. Any news now? Hinata Takuma inquired. Hinata Kunihiko, standing by, immediately replied respectfully, not yet, clan leader. Mito-sama has been staying indoors, and no news has come out of the Senju clan. Hinata Takuma sighed. He had originally planned to meet with Uzumaki Mito to discuss the future of Konoha and the selection of the 3rd Hokage, but Uzumaki Mito refused to give him a chance. Now that the Uchiha clan has appeared with the Mangekyou Sharingan, and there's still no response even in such a situation, I don't know what that means. Hinata Takuma's face was conflicted, but after a while he finally made up his mind and said, "Go, get ready tomorrow, I need to meet with the new head of the Uchiha clan, remember not to attract attention." Yes. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22. If you want to bet, at least show sincerity. There are many ninja families, big and small, in Konoha, but not many can dance to their heart's content on the big stage of Konoha. The 3 blood-stained families, the Uchiha, Senju, and Hyuga, are naturally the most heavyweight players, like 3 mountains, overlooking the entire Konoha. There are also some esoteric families that band together to fight against the 3 mountains that weigh on the many ninja clans, such as the Ino Shikacho families, who have made a covenant for generations to help each other. There are also the Inuzuka and Aburim clans who have a good relationship. One likes to raise dogs, and the other likes to raise insects. I don't know how they got together in the first place. Now that the center dancer of the big stage, Tobirama Senju, is dead, the Uchiha family, who has been dancing beside him, has the opportunity to be the leading actor, and the opportunity is still great. Hinata Takuma decided that he could not wait any longer. He also wanted to improve, and he also wanted to dance. Early in the morning, when there were not many people around, he met with Uchiha Minami. A true hero emerges from youth. At such a young age, he's already shouldering the burden of the clan. Hinata Takuma was the first to offer his compliments. Flattery is always right, no matter how many times it's worn. No. It's just that clan leader Tomita is showing me favor. He insisted on giving the clan leadership to me. I couldn't get up from my knees if I didn't agree. I had no choice. Uchiha Kusunoki couldn't figure out Hinata Takunoki's intentions, so he just kept chatting rambling. He knew the old man couldn't hold it in. They chatted for a while, even through several cups of tea. Hinata Takunoki felt like he needed to pee. After all, his age was causing him prostate problems. Why wasn't he speaking? Could Uchiha Kusunoki really hold it in? Didn't he want to be Hokage? I'd taken the initiative and come here, giving the Uchiha clan enough respect. It was time to discuss the Hokage position. Uchiha Kusunoki watched as Hinata Takunoki swayed from side to side, his calves rubbing against each other, clearly unable to sit still. Uchiha Kusunoki was quite young, his prostate at its peak. So he smiled faintly. Another cup? No. Hinata Takuma shook his head repeatedly. He hadn't come here for tea today. Brother Kusunoki, I'm a few years older than you, so just call me that. It's more friendly. It's time to say something. Now that Tobirama-sama is dead, Konoha is leaderless. It needs someone capable, responsible, and powerful to stabilize the situation. Hinata Takuma spoke with sincerity, as if he would go through fire and water for Konoha. At the end, he raised an eyebrow at Uchiha Kusunoki, signaling for him to take over. Hinata Takuma had a clear understanding. Although the Hyuga clan was one of Konoha's 3 major ninja clans, it still lacked top-tier combat power. The chances of becoming Hokage were probably off, but there was still a chance he could make further progress and secure greater benefits for the clan. Everyone was poor now, and life within the clan was tough. The sound of a cannon brings a fortune. The war has been going on for so long, and Konoha has borrowed so much from the clan. Once the war reparations arrive, the funds allocated by the Fire Nation will be shared. The more you eat, the less I eat. Everyone in the family is waiting for the payout. All the promises made by Senju Tobirama beforehand are now null and void. He must first check with the next Hokage. He's not considering the Senju clan anymore. He's just trying to curry favor with a cold shoulder. Uchiha Kusunoki is stronger in terms of strength, but he's still weaker in terms of political influence. After all, he's been suppressed by Senju Tobirama for so many years. It's better to help someone in need than to add icing on the cake. Now is the perfect time to invest. Together, the 2 families will surely take down Hokage. Tisk, brother Takuma, don't you know that the second Hokage already decided on his candidate before he died? It was Sarutobi Hiruzen. Uchiha Kusunoki sipped his tea and looked at Hinata Takuma with a strange expression. He'd already spread the news. What the hell? Sarutobi Hiruzen? To be honest, Hinata Takuma never cared about Sarutobi Hiruzen at all. Some bastard who came out of the corner really thought that he could fly to the tree and become a phoenix by clinging to Senju Tobirama. When Senju Tobirama was alive, he could still give Sarutobi Hiruzen a little face, but now Tobirama is dead. Sorry, who are you? I am the patriarch of the noble bloodline family. Don't try to extort money. Brother Non, stop joking. Everyone knows that they abandoned the Hokage and ran back alone. Who knows whether the news they brought back is true or false? Hinata Takuma sneered, not taking Sarutobi Hiruzen to heart at all. I wonder if Brother Non wants to make progress. Hinata Takuma's true intentions were exposed, and he spoke first to explain his purpose. As for progress, we're not saying we won't do it, but there's no such thing as a definite how or what. Don't you want to? That's not the case either. We say that everything depends on human effort. We can do it, we can find a way. Uchiha Kusunoki spoke, without expressing his opinion. He finally understood that Hinata Takuma was here to bet on it. He had always supported the Senju faction, but now he wanted to switch sides. He probably wanted to speak first and take the initiative in the conversation. He had to coax him out of it. Okay, Hinata Takuma was astonished. Someone could talk like that. Uchiha Kusunoki, you were born for politics. You've made the right choice. Konoha's Hokage, the Senju family has already produced 2. I think it's time for the Uchiha. Uchiha Kusunoki is Konoha's peaceful Hokage, the Hokage who brings peace to Konoha. Hinata Takuma decided not to beat around the bush and spoke directly. That's right. These people playing politics are so dirty, beating around the bush. Can't they just be direct? Do you really think so? Of course, brother, I speak from the heart. Hinata Takuma's face radiated sincerity. With the Uchiha possessing the main Decay Sharingan, and the power of the Hyuga clan, he didn't know how he could lose. Then let's have a happy cooperation. Uchiha Kusunoki finally smiled and extended his hand, intending to form an alliance with the Hyuga clan. Since Hinata Takuma had already taken the initiative, he couldn't possibly push the Hyuga clan away. Taking the position of Hokage of Konoha was only the first step in a long journey. The real difficulty lay ahead. He would have to cooperate with the Hyuga clan in the future. Happy cooperation, Hinata Takuma shook Uchiha Kusunoki's hand and happily agreed. Today's goal was finally agreed. All that remained were the final pleasantries. And the two men shamelessly began to flatter each other. The future, greatest Sandaime Hokage, the only choice to lead Konoha to prosperity, the most visionary Hyuga clan leader. Bragging doesn't cost money, so just keep it up. You praise me, I praise you, and fame will follow, won't it? In another world, Sarutobi Hiruzen, known as the strongest Hokage, silently gave a thumbs up. Finally, Hyuga Takuma left Uchiha Kusunoki's residence, satisfied. Before leaving, he even asked Uchiha Kusunoki to visit the Hyuga family when he was free. After Hyuga Takuma left, Uchiha Kusunoki headed towards the Uchiha Security Department. Today was his first day on the job as clan leader, and he couldn't be late. Incidentally, he'd been promoted to the head of the Uchiha Security Department. Please vote for me. Chapter 23, Learning to be a Patriarch from Scratch. Tomita, what are these people doing? Uchiha Non had been promoted, so he naturally moved to the room that used to belong to Uchiha Tomita, and officially began his life as the clan leader. Clan leader, these people are the accountants of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Tomita pointed to the accountants standing in a row. They were all professional accountants hired by Uchiha, and they were all civilians of Konoha. As for why there was not a single Uchiha among these people, the reason was naturally that the Uchiha were only good at chopping people, and these boring and complicated account books gave the Uchiha a headache. Uchiha Tomita gave a look, and the accountants began to report on the family's recent situation. My lord, so far, the family's weapons industry has continued to be in deficit. In order to cope with the war, Konoha owes a total of more than 530 million taels to purchase shurikens, kunai, detonating tags, etc. produced by the family. My lord, the performance of the family's shops is also not optimistic. More than 3 floors of tenants have been overdue for more than half a year, totaling 130 million taels in full. The specific details are as follows. My lord, the pensions for the family's fallen members have not been paid, and now many people are clamoring. The 4 or 5 accountants in front of him were muttering to themselves about the account books in their hands, reporting accounts non-stop. There was only one word in their words: send money. Transfer the money quickly, the more the better. Uchiha Nan's face was embarrassed. You're giving me this as soon as I take office, right? You can't say that the family will go bankrupt in my hands. Don't say it. In one sentence, how much money is the family's cash flow now, and how long can it last? Uchiha Non couldn't stand the reciting like accounts anymore, so he just said the result. About 150 million taels. If you don't count the family martyrs' pensions, it can probably last for about a month. Hiss. So little, it can only last for a month. Tomita, has the family finances become so bad? Uchiha Non looked at Uchiha Tomita. The finances exploded as soon as he took office. How can he continue to play like this? Clan leader, you know, this war has been going on for too long. It's not just the Uchiha, but all the families in Konoha are like this. Not only that, Konoha's ninjas haven't accepted missions for a long time. They were all sent to the front lines to fight, and a large amount of Konoha's financial income was directly cut off. Konoha relies on the continuous bleeding of various ninja clans and the supply of people to maintain Konoha. Damn it! Where's the daimyo? Where's the daimyo of the Land of Fire? He didn't send any money. Uchiha Non was a little exasperated. The ninjas were working hard outside, but the daimyo was unwilling to pay a penny. The daimyo gives Konoha 20 billion taels of funds every year, and it has been increased to 25 billion taels in the past 3 years, but Uchiha Tomita didn't finish his words. and it was obvious that it had been spent. The cost of a detonating tag was no less than 3,000 taels. In a small battle, there was no telling how many detonating tags could be used on the battlefield every day. There were also countless kunai and shurikens flying around on the battlefield. This did not include ration pills, food, and medical supplies. It was not a war at all, it was just burning money. Burning money was slower than spending money on a war. It seemed that Konoha was completely unable to fight. If it continued to fight like this, it would collapse internally. With such burning money, which family could withstand it? Not to mention the casualties in the family, almost a generation had died. Don't worry, clan leader, the daimyo and Senju Tobirama have agreed to allocate a large amount of funds to rebuild Konoha. We have to pay. If we don't pay some money, Konoha will consider whether to replace it with a daimyo who is willing to pay. In the nearly 1,000 years of history of the ninja world, there are many daimyo who were not sober-minded and did not pay enough, and were killed by their subordinate ninjas. Anyway, they are all working for the Fire Country. If the daimyo dies, there are still his sons and brothers. They can always find a successor to the daimyo. Uchiha Tomita looked at Uchiha Non, who looked like he was about to die, but still gave him a sip of chicken soup. The newly appointed clan leader cannot quit because of no money, otherwise the Uchiha family will be embarrassed. How much is it exactly? Lord Tobirama didn't say, it's a secret. Damn. This bastard Tobirama is not trying to pocket the money himself by playing this trick. Now this huge sum of money is waiting for the next Hokage to distribute. Who will eat more and who will eat less will all be decided by the Hokage. We can't let the Senju clan take the lead this time. Lord Uchiha Kusunoki, you must become Hokage. Uchiha Tomita looked at Uchiha Non with a scorching gaze, his eyes almost tearing. Becoming Hokage means having the right to allocate funds for rebuilding Konoha. Isn't this what the ninja clan wants to be Hokage? To ask for money from the daimyo of the Land of Fire with good reason, and then distribute the money, and the family will get some of it to train family ninjas and strengthen the family's strength? Of course, this is only part of it. There are also various kinds of invisible income. For example, the division of Konoha's tasks, the sale of land, and commercial secrets. These are rights that only the top leaders can control. Each family is doing their best to get as much as possible within the framework of Konoha, and then train family ninjas to strengthen the family's strength, and so on, and it goes on, and it is passed down from generation to generation. Whichever family can produce a Hokage will naturally be able to eat meat. Now is the closest time for the Uchiha clan to the position of Hokage, and they can't miss the opportunity. Now the family is in urgent need of recovery. I will become Hokage. Uchiha Kusunoki made a promise, not only for himself, but also for his family, and of course, Konoha. In the original novel, Sarutobi Hiruzen became Hokage, the Senju clan was gone, and the Uchiha clan was gone. It was a feast for the two powerful families, and the only one who could eat heartily in the back was the Sarutobi clan. Damn, while Konoha fed his own family, it gradually weakened. Of course I believe in Lord Uchiha Kusunoki. Uchiha Tomita has great confidence in Uchiha Kusunoki. Who in Konoha can stop Uchiha Kusunoki, who has opened the main Gekyo Sharingan? Lord Uchiha Kusunoki, here are the documents that the clan leader needs to deal with. Uchiha Tomita brought another stack of papers, which were the documents that Uchiha Tomita usually needed to deal with. There were all kinds of things. The promotion of Uchiha Guard personnel, Konoha street patrols, spy arrests, and family business, and important guests that the clan leader had to meet. Among them, of course, they were either rich or noble, and they were all big businessmen and nobles in the Land of Fire. The most recent one was the day after tomorrow. It was a big businessman who had been cooperating with Uchiha and was responsible for supplying Uchiha with the raw material iron for making weapons. He was probably here to collect the debt. Uchiha has owed money for nearly half a year. The last time he came, Uchiha Tomita drank with him until late at night before he settled the matter. He said all the good things and barely dragged it on for a while. Of course, this mess now is something Uchiha Non needs to worry about. Chapter 24, The Ninja World is not about fighting and killing, but about human relationships and worldly wisdom. Where there are people, there's a world of martial arts. This world isn't about fighting and killing, but about human relationships and social conventions. The same is true in the ninja world. What do people strive for in their lives? Money, of course. Even ninjas fight themselves to death, and that's the truth. They work in high-risk jobs just to earn a killing check and live a comfortable life. Konoha's current predicament, besides its personnel issues, is simply a matter of money. But where there's money, there are people. With money, one ninja village against 4 is nothing, it's a matter of seeing who can outlast the other. If funds were sufficient, a single person could carry dozens or even hundreds of detonating tags and throw a few whenever they meet. How comfortable would that be? Unfortunately, such an extravagant idea is unlikely. Uchiha Kusunoki leaned back in his chair, the table before him laden with a variety of delicious dishes. Most importantly, this was Konoha's most luxurious hotel, used for hosting important Uchiha guests. Just this table of food, this very place, cost a staggering 30,000 ryo, leaving Uchiha Kusunoki speechless. Uchiha Kusunoki's worth meant that even a simple A-rank mission would earn him hundreds of thousands of ryo. This meal would still be incredibly painful. Eating like this every day would bankrupt Uchiha Kusunoki. Fortunately, he didn't have to pay for it himself, his family would foot the bill. After all, this was official business for the Uchiha clan. The guest arriving soon is Fujiya Hiroki. His family, the Fujiya clan, owns a large iron mine in the Land of Fire and has long collaborated with the Uchiha clan. They have connections in the family who hold high positions in the Land of Fire. He's a very good-tempered man. I have a good relationship with him, Uchiha Tomita introduced Fujiya Hiroki, covering his family background, personal preferences, and everything else, meticulously guiding Uchiha Kusunoki. Dealing with these powerful families of the Land of Fire is more than just a simple ninja. Being a ninja involves simply killing people, but being a clan leader involves much more. Now that Uchiha Kusunoki has unlocked his main Gekkai Sharingan, he's the future of the Uchiha clan. For the sake of the Uchiha clan, he will unreservedly teach him his experience as a clan leader. Uchiha Tomita specifically went with Kusunoki for this social gathering. Having owed the Fujiya clan so much money and dragging it out for so long, he's likely to be a bit harsh at the dinner table. Uchiha Tomita feared that Uchiha Kusunoki, relying on his youth and strength, would simply draw his sword and have Fujiya Hiroki kill him. The scene of Uchiha Kusunoki throwing his dissolution release into the crowd was still fresh in his mind. It was clear that Uchiha Kusunoki had a bad temper, and we shouldn't judge him by his past behavior. If he actually killed someone, that would be a real joke. If the debt collection failed, the Uchiha clan would kill the creditor, and the Fire Nation's powerful would then join forces to shut down the Uchiha clan's business. Such a bad precedent couldn't be set. The Fire Nation's powerful would be afraid. The ninja clans of the 5 great ninja villages were now saddled with debts from the war. They were all imitating the Uchiha clans, slashing the debtors to death. Would the powerful nations of the various lands survive? If the Uchiha clans dared to act unjustly, the daimyo of the various lands would unite and teach them the power of money. Bounties would rain down, leaving them in dire straits. No matter how powerful the Uchiha clans were, they were still just a ninja clan. Uchiha Non listened intently to Uchiha Tomita's instructions, clearly teaching him how to be a competent clan leader. He knew from them many secrets of the Fire Nation nobility, secrets that a low-ranking ninja who only knew how to hack people would never learn. Suddenly, a door creaked, and a plump, slightly overweight, middle-aged man entered. His clothes were bright and sleek, revealing the wealth and nobility. Tomita, long time no see, long time no see. Uchiha Tomita came forward and after a few pleasantries, he introduced Uchiha Kusunoki, the new head of the Uchiha clan, to Fujiya Hiroki. Fujiya Hiroki's expression changed slightly, and he immediately introduced himself to Uchiha Kusunoki with a smile on his face. Uchiha Kusunoki naturally took up the conversation very eagerly. In his previous life, Uchiha Kusunoki was a salesperson, and this kind of scene was very familiar to him. In his previous life, he had been practicing his killing skills and studying how to kill people efficiently. But now, his past professional qualities suddenly revealed themselves. Isn't it just licking the client's dad? Uchiha Kusunoki is very skilled. As long as he sits at the table, Uchiha Kusunoki can use his rich skills to serve you comfortably. Uchiha Tomita, who was drinking with him, looked at Uchiha Kusunoki with wide eyes, and was simply shocked. He was too skilled, too skilled. Flattering auspicious words, one after another, and those unheard of words to persuade people to drink, made Fujiya Hiroki drink one glass after another, making it seem that Uchiha Tomita's presence today was a bit redundant. In the middle, Fujiya Hiroki still did not forget his mission and mentioned the debt. Uchiha Non immediately started complaining about the hard times of the family. Uchiha Tomita couldn't stand it anymore. His stories were a bit absurd. As for the debt, Uchiha did not say that he would not pay it back. When the money from above came down, he would pay it back in the first installment, including the principal and interest. Naturally, Fujiya Hiroki could not say anything more. Then they started to force people to drink again, 2-1, plus Uchiha-nan's skilled skills in licking the client, and interjecting jokes in the middle, and talking about some topics that men love, which made Fujiya Hiroki drunk and started to treat each other like brothers. Brother is in trouble, will you help? What are you talking about? Don't worry about the debt. I'll take care of it. Hiccup, hiccup, brother, I still have some influence in the family. I'll supply the Uchiha clan with goods for another month. Good brother, I'll toast you another glass. Let's sign the contract. Uchiha Tomita quickly asked the waiter for paper and pen and signed the contract, fearing Fujiya Hiroki would sober up and deny his debts. Uchiha Kusunoki was enjoying a hearty meal with a key client at the hotel, while Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo wandered the streets of Konoha. After a life-or-death escape from the battlefield and a subsequent intimidation from Uzumaki Mido, the two buddies decided to meet for a meal and discuss the future of Konoha. When Shimura Danzo heard that Uzumaki Mido would support Sarutobi Hiruzen for the Hokage position, his anxiety immediately eased, his mood shifting to joy, yet a hint of sadness lingered. I couldn't help but recall the scene at that time. If I had been the first to stand up and die, would I have been the third Hokage? Joy and regret filled my heart. I was afraid that my brother would suffer, and I was also afraid that my brother would drive a Land Rover. This is what Danzo Shimura is like now. At the beginning, he was worried about Hiruzen Sarutobi. Now that he is better, he feels bad again. A companion who has always been similar to me is about to become the supreme leader of the village. It is even more painful than killing Danzo Shimura. However, Danzo was still too optimistic. He didn't pay any attention to the villagers on the street. He always looked at them vaguely, with contempt and disdain flashing in his eyes. Crazy begging for monthly tickets. I want monthly tickets, throwing a tantrum. Chapter 25 Danzo, Hiruzen, there's already a thick barrier between you and me. I'm so sorry, but we're full here. The owner of a snack bar, with a perfectly fake smile, dismissed Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo, who wanted to eat there. This was already the fourth one they'd come from, and the owner of this one was relatively good-tempered, at least somewhat polite. The previous one had been swearing and spitting at their feet, and if Sarutobi Hiruzen hadn't intervened, Shimura Danzo would have fought him. Isn't there still room over there? Shimura Danzo, furious, pointed at the empty seat. A dignified jounin of Konoha, the Hokage's guard, was being chased away just to eat. Even a clay man would have some temper, especially since I'm trying to help your business. In this situation, only ninja masters could afford to eat out every now and then. Ordinary people wouldn't dare be so extravagant, they'd be happy just to have enough to eat. It's booked, customers will be arriving shortly. The snack bar owner was already growing impatient. These two guys had abandoned the Hokage, causing his death. They were cowards, deserters, unfit to be Konoha's ninjas. Still want to eat here? Eat shit. I'll wait right here. See when the customers you mentioned arrive. Shimura Danzo pushed aside Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was still trying to stop him, determined to get justice. Enough. Do I have to explain myself? I don't want to do business with you. You're all deserters, cowards, unfit to be Konoha's ninjas. You're the ones who killed the Hokage. Get out of here. The snack bar owner, unwilling to continue arguing with them, launched into a barrage of insults. What did you say? I'll teach you a lesson today. Shimura Danzo was furious. These untouchables, who only knew how to enjoy Konoha's protection, had no idea of the danger of the situation, or the greatness of their teacher, Tobirama Senju's will of fire. Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly pulled Danzo Shimura in. In Konoha, there was a rule that ninjas could not use force against civilians. Violating it would result in a public hearing at the security department. The Uchiha were not merciful, and they wouldn't leave without suffering a heavy blow. Moreover, at this critical moment, once they entered Uchiha territory, they might not be able to leave. Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't tolerate Danzo Shimura's recklessness. Why do you still want to hit someone? The snack bar owner, seeing Danzo Shimura about to attack, raised his voice. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Danzo Shimura was now too conspicuous. People were already observing him from a distance, instantly attracting a crowd of onlookers. The indignant villagers launched into a barrage of accusations against Hiruzen and Danzo Sarutobi. Coward. Traitor. Deserter. Words filled their ears, some even directed insults at their parents and families. They relied on their superior numbers, unfazed by Danzo Shimura's wrath. The Uchiha had given special instructions: if these men dared to attack, they would be arrested and imprisoned, sent to the Uchiha Security Department. They would never escape, and there would be no need to worry about retaliation. Shimura Danzo's eyes were red with rage, his face brimming with murderous intent. Sarutobi Hiruzen was also upset, his face livid, but he still retained his composure. A confrontation with the villagers now would do no good, it would only embarrass Uzumaki Miro and lower his own opinion of her. They were just a bunch of villagers swayed by public opinion. There was no point in getting angry with them. Sarutobi Hiruzen held on to Shimura Danzo's hand tightly, fearing he would lose his temper and unleash a few wind-style vacuum balls on them. "Let's go, Danzo, don't mess with him." Sarutobi Hiruzen pulled Shimura Danzo out of the crowd, trotting to an open space. Damn it, these bastards." Shimura Danzo picked up a branch and frantically lashed at the weeds, venting his anger. He lashed out dozens of times before calming down. "Hiruzen, aren't you angry?" Shimura Danzo looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen standing nearby. Just now, Sarutobi Hiruzen had forcibly withstood the villagers' insults, silently enduring their attacks without a word. Shimura Danzo was left alone to engage in a verbal battle, but sadly, he was defeated. Angry? Of course he was. Being taunted by a group of people, especially one whose family was implicated, would anger anyone. But anger was useless. The more you explained, the more excited they became, believing you were being impatient. Sarutobi Hiruzen was no fool. Uzumaki Miro had warned him that the Uchiha would use public opinion to crush him. Having been warned, Sarutobi Hiruzen would not be easily provoked by the ignorant villagers and fall into the Uchiha's trap. Perhaps there were Uchiha ninjas hiding near the crowd, observing them from the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to capture them and bring them to the Uchiha guard. Sarutobi Hiruzen had indeed guessed correctly. The Uchiha had indeed assigned forces to keep an eye on him, but it wasn't just the Uchiha. The Senju, Hyuga, Ino Shikacho, and others had all sent forces. Now is not the time to be angry, I have more important things to do. The cage of a village won't be defeated by something like this. Sarutobi Hiruzen had begun to use the Hokage's mindset to control himself. To be a worthy Hokage, one must possess the Hokage's mindset. It was just a mere insult, but he was willing to swallow it for the sake of becoming Hokage. Shimura Danzo looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen's confident expression and felt an inexplicable anger rising within him. Was the gap between him and Sarutobi Hiruzen so great? The gap in strength could be overcome through hard training, but the gap in mindset was not so easily bridged. A tragically thick barrier had already formed between Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen. "Hiruzen, I will not lose to you." Seeing his best friend, Sarutobi Hiruzen, already so far ahead of him in terms of strategy, he wasn't about to give up so easily. Danzo Shimura, who considered himself as good as Hiruzen Sarutobi, still believed that all that stood between him and Hiruzen was a chance. If Senju Tobirama had chosen him, he would have been no less capable than Sarutobi Hiruzen. Regret and resentment filled his heart. "Danzo, let's train, we have such good time, we can't waste it." Sarutobi Hiruzen hadn't forgotten Uzumaki Miro's advice. She could help him defeat the Uchiha, but there was still Senju Momorama waiting. He must train diligently and improve his strength as much as possible during this time. Uzumaki Miro was still stalling him. Once Tobirama Sama's body was brought back to Konoha, the true test would come. Sarutobi Hiruzen vowed to himself that he would not let Tobirama down. At that moment, a young man with black hair and a handsome appearance, bearing a striking resemblance to Senju Hoshirama, stood at the main gate of Konoha village. Senju Momoma looked at the gate of Konoha. He should have been happy to return to the village, but now he felt uneasy, as if a great disaster had happened in Konoha. What could have happened that made his mother rush him back to the village in such a hurry? End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all, see you in the next video.